Hello, everybody. Welcome to another DMV Comic Book Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Freddie, and today we are discussing X-Men 97, Season 1, Episode 8, Tolerance is Extinction, Part 1. We are in Part 1 of a three-part finale here. I've got my friends Travell and Rick with me. Let's introduce everybody. Say hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
Hey,
I
everybody.
guess hello. I'm Travell, Big Boy Nerd. Hello.
And we got Rick.
Yeah, Rick here. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. So
Yes,
glad you guys
yes.
are here with me again. Listeners, if this is your first time listening to DMV Comic Book Nerds podcast, welcome. And you can go back and listen to some of our other episodes from this season, and you can learn a little bit more about each of us and hear our perspectives on the previous episodes. And if you're a returning listener, thank you so much for coming back. I do want to shout out that Rick, you've got your X-Men Evolution background. I love it.
Sure do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking about actually using this for work. I don't think anyone would notice. It's the
Everyone
ground
would be
floor
like,
of the
"Wow, you got a real
basement.
fancy home you live in. Like, look at the
Yeah.
staircase and
That's
statues."
awesome.
Storm and Mystique fighting in the background, you know.
Yeah. I was actually going to say something about that. I actually think your background's pretty dope. That's awesome.
I want to
Great.
shout out my background because I upgraded it today because the wildest thing happened. I don't know if you guys saw this, but online, they like showed that Airbnb has created a whole X-Men 97 style mansion that you can like rent, I
Right.
guess.
Yeah, I
I did
saw
see that.
that. Yeah.
Like
I
that is
saw that.
crazy.
It is
Um,
pretty bugged. I was telling the homies, my friends in my group, that it reminds me of when they did that for The Simpsons. Do you remember when they did that for The
mm,
Simpsons in the 90s? Oh,
yeah,
it
Oh,
shows our
I think
bro,
they did
age.
for
yeah.
The
Yeah, it shows our age.
Simpsons,
Yeah.
and then they also did it for like Scooby-Doo. Like a few years ago, there was like
Oh,
the Mystery Machine, like
yeah,
all
Mystery
decked out
Machine.
on Airbnb. They had Matthew
Oh,
Lillard come
tight.
like advertise it.
Oh, I
Whoa,
didn't see
that's really
that. That's
cool. I
cool.
did not see that either. Wow, that's very cool. Wow,
Um, sp-
wow.
Speaking of Scooby-Doo, I'll just mention that two bits of news because I'm a Scooby-Doo fan.
Hmm.
First, the bad news. Velma's has been renewed for season 3.
Oh,
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 really?
it got a season
That's
two.
a season. Yeah, it got a season
Like
two. It's been out.
season
Yeah.
2 just came out this month,
It was
and I
critically
haven't watched
planned.
it.
It's critically panned. It's critically panned
Yeah,
again.
Yeah, I heard
yeah.
season
Like
one didn't do so great. I'm really surprised it
Mm,
got a season two, let alone
yeah,
I th
three.
it's interesting.
I think most animated shows, they always try to at least produce 2 seasons in advance, just so the everyone
Syndication.
involved,
Is
they have
syndication
a
even a
decent
thing anymore?
contract. I don't know if it's quite syndication, but I think it's just contractual. Like
Yeah, I think it's
they want it to be
contractual.
worth the effort of producing a show. So a lot of shows will get 2. Like X-Men has gotten 2 before they even aired season
Right.
1.
Oh, that's right. That's why Bo
But
DeMeo wrote 2 seasons already. Right. Okay.
but the sad thing is, why is Velma getting a season 3? Like no
That's
one likes
so
the
interesting.
show.
I mean, I think what it is. I think honestly, it's a matter of it being that it's extra content that Max can push, regardless. I
Right.
mean, like, and it's still getting views because people want to see how bad it is, and it's low lift. It's like it's animated. It doesn't cost as much money, so why not keep it going? Like, that's one of those flagship shows that even bad publicity is good publicity because people want to go see it and check it out, and so you could at least make money
I
off of that, I
guess.
suppose. Yeah, it's a shitty business
Yeah.
model, if you ask me. But
Mm.
hey,
Well, especially when they wrote off both Batgirl and
right.
what was the other? I don't
Yeah.
even know what it was
And,
that we
and
The
other
Looney
Scooby-Doo
Tunes.
projects that would
Yeah,
have been
yeah,
better.
right.
Looney
Right.
Tunes,
That's right.
Coyote versus Acme.
Yeah,
There were
yeah.
other Scooby-Doo projects that they have canned that sounded better on concept, but um, anyway, I don't want to trash Velma too much, but that's not what we're here for. But I do want to mention the second bit of news, which is that apparently, like, so I think the other day it was Iwo Takamoto's birthday, and he was the creator of Scooby-Doo. And on that same day, they announced that Netflix is going to do a live action version of Scooby-Doo um, in the future. I don't know if that's a real announcement or they're just
Whoa.
trying to, you know,
That's a good
make
idea,
an
though.
announcement. I
I think
mean,
that's a good
I think
idea.
people are ready for that if they do it well.
Yeah.
Like if it's not like Velma Redux. Like
I don't know if anyone's seen this since we're on the topic of Scooby-Doo, but there is it's called like Mystery Inc. or like I forget exactly what it is, but it's a YouTube show, like a
yes.
show or like a short movie, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like a live action Scooby-Doo, and they play it
Yeah.
straight, and like it's really well produced. It's like a fan made
Mm-hmm.
something, but
Wow.
it's they play it
Mm-hmm.
really straight. They got a Doberman that came in that looks just like Scooby-Doo. Is he a Doberman? I always think I
I
forget.
think
Is
it's a Great
Scooby-Doo his dog?
Dane.
He's a
Great
Great
Dane.
Dane. Excuse me. I'm sorry. They brought a Great Dane in that looks just like Scooby, and it's like a
Mm-hmm.
really well told story. I was kind of hoping to see it episode two, but there's only been an episode one since they aired it, and it was been about over a year since it came out. But it was really well done, and it's a live action, and it I think it shows that a lot of people that have aged with the age with it, but also shows that people are willing to take on a more mature take for those types of shows. I think the same thing
Yeah.
happened with Power Rangers when they did it on YouTube years ago, and it was this like badass version of Power Rangers, and then like they did a movie out of it. So I don't know. I think that audience is ready. I think so. I really do think so.
Yeah, especially if
Yeah.
they did like a Stranger Things, kind of
Yeah,
vibe or
good
Chilling
point.
Adventures of
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sabrina.
right,
Like I'm
right.
glad
Good
you
point.
mentioned the YouTube fan made
Mhm.
episode because I actually posted that on my Twitter at DMVCBN. I didn't post it on Threads yet, but yeah, there's
Ah,
a link there. But also it's on YouTube. Like you guys can
Mhm.
check that out. It's kind of cool. Like for a fan project, they put a lot of effort
a
into it. It
lot of
came out
effort.
pretty cool,
Yeah,
and go give them some love because they were the ones who manifested this. Like they worked
right,
hard to like get garner some
right.
interest in a live action show. And they had the vision for it to be like a CW vibe, like Riverdale. Like I was a big fan of Riverdale. Scooby-Doo and Archie are like, almost the
Yeah.
same thing. So
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
um
Yeah.
like I
hmm
think Scooby-Doo was influenced by Archie to a degree, and the success that the original Archie cartoon had. But um I guess the point is, if you guys like, you know, CW style shows, if you like Netflix shows, if you like
hmm
Scooby-Doo, we got something other than Velma to look forward to.
Yeah. I was
yeah,
always
yeah.
bummed
Sorry.
the Mystery Incorporated animated series. I don't know if you guys really dug into
Oh
that
my, I
too.
love that one.
I
Yes.
don't think I've
Yeah.
seen that actually.
Oh, it was
Oh, you
such a
gotta
Oh,
great
check it
show.
out. It's so good.
whoa. Huh.
Like sometimes I can't decide which I like more, the original Scooby-Doo Where Are You cartoon or Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc. The 2000s cartoon, because like they're both like so good in my opinion.
Oh,
Um,
totally. You have
Wow,
and then
nostalgia
really?
and then versus the actual like story-based, driven. It's
Whoa,
like a whole two-season arc. It really plays out.
really? Wow.
like
Where could you watch it? Where could you watch it on like Netflix maybe now
it
or
has
Probably
been
on
on
Max.
Netflix. I think it's
Max?
on
Okay.
Max right now.
Mm,
Um, and
wow.
yeah, that show is good. And also, I don't know if you guys grew up with like the movies, um,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
certainly.
Zombie Island and
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Witch's
yeah, yeah.
Ghost. Those were my jam, where
That
they
was the
introduced the Hex
real
Girls.
resurrection of
Yes.
the franchise after
That's
the
true.
Yes.
live action.
Yeah.
hmm
But that not
Yeah.
that
Like we're
terrible they did a sequel to the Zombie Island, which I didn't watch, but
Oh,
I
oh
just
no, I've
heard
heard
it
it
was
wasn't
terrible.
very good. Like they
oh,
didn't
I
quite
didn't see it.
capture what made it great. But
I didn't see it.
but honestly, I gotta say, I think that X-Men 97 kind of draws a bit of at least like artistic influence from like Zombie Island, the original one, because I don't know, something about the 2D animation, like the horror vibes, like um like it's like the target age range, like it's not necessarily like grotesque, but it's a little too spooky for like the young ones, but like, you
hmm
know, I don't know, there's something about it.
Interesting.
I've definitely
Huh.
thought that while watching this show. But
Mm.
yeah, I think that's it for the Scooby-Doo talk. We gotta talk about X-Men next.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, we're here to talk about X-Men. Um I had a question for each of you guys before we begin. Uh, um so I'll start with Rick, since you were on episode 3 with me. Um which So here's the question. What time did you watch it? Because the episode came out today,
Yeah,
and now
so
it's
good.
like 9 o'clock p.m. So what time did you watch it today?
Well, I watched it a couple times, as I always do on the release day. So I try to watch it around 4 or 5 a.m. just because the spoilers get out of control. Like you can't
Mm,
touch your phone without a spoiler. You have people texting
Yeah.
you, God knows what it is. So I
Hmm.
watched it at 5 this morning. So, but there's something about watching these episodes the first time that as you're watching it, you're so excited, but at the same time, you're disappointed because they're just not able to cover everything or get everybody in the episode that you're looking forward to. So like even like when it came to the opening sequence, like I'm looking for Storm and she's not there.
oh
And I'm
wow,
just
yeah,
like,
Right?
she isn't.
Yeah.
Right.
so
Yeah.
I have to watch it a couple times to really appreciate it because like the second or third time, it's like, all right, I know what's there, and now I can see what the intent was.
Right.
Hmm. What about you,
Well put.
Travell?
That's actually very well put, I have to say. But I watched it probably about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I try to watch with my wife. So my wife has a little bit of downtime from her meetings at work. We're like, all right, let's watch it really quick because the baby is like, when the baby's awake, and I'm like, all right, we can do it now. So I watch it in the middle of the day, and it takes me a while to watch it. Usually, if it's only 20, it's like only 34 minutes per episode, but it takes me at least say 45 minutes to an hour to watch it because I'll pause it and like process some stuff, discuss it with my wife, or I'll think about parallels to other things, or I'll think about like how these, like, what's the whatever the narrative intent was around certain things. I like process it in real time that way, and then I watch it again. I don't think I've watched any episode of this show of this revival without crying, which is crazy to me. I really didn't expect that, but each time I watch an episode of it, I tear up or I cry a little bit. It's so moving to me. So I take a second to like process it. So I think like it takes me about 45 minutes to watch it.
Okay. Yeah, I totally
Mhm.
get it, man. Like for me, um, I try to watch it before work now. Like I woke up, I watched it right away at like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I went out to work, and then I even still tried to like watch it again, throughout my day, but just to prepare for the podcast. But um, yeah, like it is. I really hope they don't release it on Wednesdays next season.
Seriously, I really think that the opportunity to release it on Saturday mornings. Like
Right.
it just,
Like
I
that's the
mean, like
obvious thing to do.
I think I think that there is a change in the culture around those types of things. Like certain like people are starting to like set up their like actual concerts. Like certain artists are trying to do their concerts on the weekends now. I see, like to cater to our age group because like we have
Hmm.
things that we do throughout the day. So it's like a different sort of thing. And I think that a lot of streaming agencies, a lot of big name companies haven't really caught up with those things yet to see how people are watching it. I think that now, I think this was a test run. I think they wanted to see how people were going to receive it. And now because of that, I think they may be a little bit more amenable to change the date or the time of the week that it gets released. At least I hope so. I hope.
Yeah, like it's hard to say if they're, like they haven't said anything about whether they're going to change it in the future, but um for now, like yeah, I'd love for them to do it Saturday mornings.
It'd be so sweet.
Although that might change the podcast release schedule a whole lot.
Right.
But
Mhm.
you know, also I realized because it's a like a globalized release, like I don't know if things work like they used to when it was just like watch this at 8 p.m., 10 p.m. Central or however time works. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like do you think what do you think about a prime time release? Like could Disney make it
Mm.
go live on Disney Plus at a certain time in the evening?
They probably just don't. They probably actually bank on. I mean, you see
Huh.
Bo in all the Twitter comments, like they're banking on stirring controversy or conversation with the
Mhm.
episodes, and they're not even buckling down so much on spoilers. Like it seems like it's almost like a wildfire.
That's what I'm
And
saying. Like it would be like a lot of talk about it whenever they release it. Like when they released it this early in the morning, everyone's like dragging out of bed and trying to watch it
Yeah.
before work and still talking about it.
But
And
there's
then
something about that water cooler conversation, you know?
I guess, yeah,
Right.
but that's
There's
what
something
podcasts
about
are
that.
for.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that
And
is no, he's so right. That is water cooler talk. That is the podcast is now the replacement of water cooler talk. It really is. It's like really funny how that works. But yeah, I
like
agree with that.
I
But
honestly
yeah,
don't know anyone at work who's watching it,
I
unfortunately.
know nobody's actually talking to me about it, but I mean, like it was with WandaVision, though, where it is every week we're trying to break down the theories and
Mhm.
see where it's going.
see, but
No,
I
but yeah.
to add on to that, I actually think a powerful component, a powerful way of releasing it would easily be if you have a day that is live, like you a prime time day. Like, all right, well, Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock is live. You know, because you can stream things live on all these streaming platforms now. You can do it live, and then right after it's live, it's now available to stream whenever you want. That would change a lot because now you
I
have
mean,
more sway and control of how many people are watching all at the same time.
Mhm.
absolutely. Like just last year on DMV Comic Book Nerds podcast, we were
Mhm.
reviewing Riverdale. I mean, unfortunately, I was
Right.
never able to watch it live because I didn't have
Mhm.
CW live. But
I
the
hear
but the
that.
point was, it came out like 8 or 9 p.m. on like a Wednesday or Thursday or whatever,
Right.
and the live tweeting was going on everyone was watching it
Mhm.
at the same time, and uh, you know, it's just we're in such a weird era where we're still trying to figure out like how to watch
Right.
stuff.
How to
Yeah,
watch
I
stuff.
forgot
No, you're
about the
so
live
right.
tweeting. That was a great
Yeah.
feature because that used to be even with like Walking Dead.
Hmm.
Right. Walking Dead. Yes. Walking Dead
Sure.
was live
Game of
tweeting. Yeah,
Thrones,
that's
I'm
so
sure.
true. Yeah,
Like
I was gonna
the
say
only
that. Yeah, that's so
Go
true.
ahead.
You were saying? No, I was gonna say you. I was just gonna say that like that happened with also with that show Euphoria. When Euphoria came out, it would come out and everyone would just be live tweeting about it at the same time. And I think that that had a lot of impact. It changed a
Hmm.
lot of how think people were watching things together. But I don't know if like agencies and companies really understand that right now because of the way that everything's changing. They're like trying to merge like streaming agencies and platforms together. I don't know if they're even thinking about the customer and all of that anymore.
Right.
Oh, who knows?
like like the only broadcast show that I watch these days is Abbott Elementary.
Yeah,
Abbott Elementary, and unfortunately, I can't really watch that live either. I don't
me
have
neither.
ABC.
Oh no, yeah, me neither. Actually, these days.
But but I do have Disney Plus. So like whatever Disney Plus does with X-Men, I'll be there. I just wish it wasn't at the crack of dawn.
Again, like this is the easy. I think this could be very easily remedied if they just added a extra plug-in for live streaming content. Like right now, I'm watching the NBA Finals. Right, I'm going back and forth watching it, and I don't have any cable. I'm watching it on Max because Max has all the games basically streaming. But that's just simply a plug-in that they added to their streaming service. It's like why can't Disney do that for something as gargantuan as X-Men. X-Men is a cultural phenomenon right now. It's like everyone's watching it right now. And the hype for season 2 is going to be really, really, really high. You know they're going to leave it at a cliffhanger. You know this. There's going to be a
Hmm.
cliffhanger. So if they were to strategically think about this, they can actually have much more sway and public control around like the conversation around those things. And I think that would work. But hey, who knows? I don't know.
Hey, Rick, I think since you said you watched it the earliest, I have to ask, like, are you an early bird? Like, is that a
Yeah.
normal time for you, or did you have to
Yeah,
wake
it
up extra
is.
early?
No, that's when I do my work in the morning. So like my
Oh,
artistic
tight.
stuff,
Oh wow.
Oh,
before everyone else wakes up. But
that's great.
I gotta squeeze an X-Men because I'm telling you, like you're like you take a break to look at your phone and there's a spoiler. I mean,
Right.
you're getting
Yeah.
spoilers 2 days ahead of time now with these trailers, and
Yeah, you're
they're
right.
great, and I don't mind, but it still does kind of like take something away. There's just
No
something
way.
about like
Yeah.
I'm a very spoiler friendly person too when it comes to like the
Mm,
comics or when it comes to like movies
mm,
in general. Like I don't mind so
mm.
much, but there's something about X-Men where it's like I want it to be my first time like being exposed to it.
Yeah. Do you think that, can I ask a question to follow
Sure.
up? I was going to ask, do you think that that has to do with the time in which you started to watch X-Men as when you were younger, when you would wait for it to come on every Saturday morning? and had that whole experience. Is that part of the cultural experience for you, like that nostalgia, like it actually influences the way you watch it?
Yeah, totally. I mean,
That's
I
interesting.
actually was first, well, I was introduced to X-Men a couple different ways, but
Huh.
not really connecting them at the same in the same time frame.
Nice.
Like the first experience was the arcade game. Like I was playing literally, I have
Ooh,
like pictures of myself
yeah.
as a child playing as the girl, playing as Storm.
Hmm.
Oh
And I
man,
didn't
so
even know
good.
who these people were, but like I just gravitated towards it. And then
Amazing.
I remember the 90s cartoon like at being very fast paced and just hard to follow
Yeah.
at times. So it
Right, right,
kind of
right.
off-putting to me a little bit. I actually came back to X-Men in a serious way for Evolution and
Whoa.
literally watched it unfold. And it was a whole brand new, yeah, I hadn't even watched the movie or anything like that. It was just
Whoa.
Evolution. So
Whoa.
every episode was just totally inventive storytelling, like the
Huh.
first time I'm meeting it. So, and then
Nice.
dove into comics, the Essential X-Men Volume 4. I don't know if you remember you got the
Oh
Yes.
Bird
man, yeah, I had
Saga,
some
you got
Essential X-Men.
Binary.
Ooh.
I didn't have that volume, but I had the
Oh.
volume three before that with the Dark Phoenix saga and all
Oh,
that.
yes,
Wow, the
yeah.
Dark Phoenix saga.
Oh, it was
Man,
a good
that's so
time to be
dope.
alive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man. So true.
Things have changed
Uh,
so much, and yet like the more things change, the more they stay the same. But there have been a lot of like changes though. Like we've been talking about, streaming and just everything. I don't know, man. I think um, I hope that it'll be fine. Like I actually never watched X-Men 92 when it was live. I was
oh,
I was too
really?
young at the time. Like
Get out of
92, I must
here.
have been 3 years old. Um, and
I
then
guess I got 2 years on you, so that does make sense that I was old enough to watch it and remember it. That's wow, wow, really, yeah, that's
and
something.
then like I do recall having some VHS tapes of it and like maybe catching it in reruns a bit here and there. But yeah, like
Huh.
for me, the first thing I watched live was X-Men Evolution.
Wow,
Um, but
yeah.
Rick, you mentioned the arcade
Oh,
game, and we didn't talk about this on the Motendo episode, but Travell, have you played that arcade game?
I actually have. It's near and dear to my heart. I
Yeah.
often like Colossus's like screaming echoes in my brain that like echoes that like echoes in my brain. You know how you like powers up? Like it's like echoes
Uh-huh.
in my brain. So like yes, I did come up playing that and I like really, really love that game. But honestly, the game that I played a lot of was there was like an X-Men game that was on a Sega Genesis called just like
Hmm.
X-Men, in which the whole story takes place in like the Danger Room for the most part. So that was the story I played a lot with. I wrote a piece about that. That's the piece that I wrote
Hmm.
about was that actual X-Men game, and that really
Oh,
kind of dove
cool.
me into X-Men. Yeah, that really dove me in. I mean, I watched the show, but it was really my older brother that pulled me into X-Men because he was old enough to know that it was even going to come on TV. So he would wake me up on Saturday mornings and we would record it. And then he would, we would have it as like a VHS tape, and I would like watch it throughout the day and throughout the night. And it was like that's how I kind of got into X-Men, was because I had a chance to record it with my older brother. And that's and by the time when Evolution came out, I wasn't even interested in it, to tell you the truth. I actually skipped Evolution. I didn't even like the show for a while. I didn't even
That's what
like
I've
it because I
heard
was,
a
yeah.
lot. People who really are X-Men 92 at their
uh-huh,
core, like
uh-huh,
Evolution, which I get it. Like the first
yeah.
season was very much like a onboarding for us younger
Mhm.
folks. But that was by much, right? But no, that was great foresight to actually think about recording those episodes live. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Like that was when I was a kid, and I was really appreciative of it. And he would record them as like VHSs, and I would like watch them over and over again. And it was something magical about that to like actually, worked as like how we are able to watch it now, streaming it, and some cool. Yeah, it was a nice experience. It's really cool, really, really cool. And I never really thought about that. I appreciate the question, and Freddie, for real. I never thought about it that in that way.
I gotta ask, did you grow to appreciate
Yeah.
Evolution later or not yet?
I'm actually going to go back and watch it.
Go
My
watch
interest
it.
in it, yeah, my interest in it has actually peaked again.
Yeah.
Because like I was at a space in which like by the time that the X-Men movie came out, I was already like that. That's when Evolution started to hit again. I was, the whole Grant Morrison run, whole thing. So that kind of pushed it. And that by that time, I actually wasn't reading X-Men as heavy when I was in that era of my life, I kind of started to read other comic books, started reading other characters that I wanted to read that kind of represented, like, I guess, me at that age. I started reading a lot more Spider-Man at that age.
Hmm.
Yeah, I actually I didn't get a chance to go back to that show yet, but that's on my list. I want to.
Yeah. Like
Yeah, I
I
really do.
definitely go through phases myself. Like sometimes I'm hardcore into X-Men, sometimes I'm hardcore into
Mhm.
Batman, Superman,
Yeah,
whatever. Like sometimes I
yeah, man.
flip-flop between DC, Marvel. Sometimes I'm exploring some indies. Um like I I do think that I do have a big soft spot in my heart for X-Men. I think it's like I don't know, I'm pretty hardcore into them now, I guess you could say.
Yeah, definitely. It's good stuff.
But I also did play the arcade game a couple times as a kid. I think it was like at a skating rink or something. I didn't get to
Ooh,
play it like a lot, but I do have a
yeah,
memory of playing it at least once, and it was memorable. And it was like,
yeah, man.
and I go back and look at some like clips on YouTube. It's like Magneto has this famous line, "Welcome to die."
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome to die, right? Welcome to die, right? That's so real. Yeah,
Like,
because
what
it
does
was
that even
translated.
mean?
It was, because they Japanese did a lot of the voice work and a lot of the writing of it, and it just didn't translate over to English the
Oh,
same way. Yeah, so
yeah.
that's why some of those words it was just weird the way that it
Bruce
was
Like,
Campbell.
like.
like, did
Yeah,
they
yeah,
reference
yeah.
that in the Motendo episode? I think
I
maybe
think they
they
did.
did.
I'm sure
I
they
Yeah.
think they
did.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it's
they were
so
they were
sweet.
going deep with all those references. Like I
Yeah,
love it.
man.
Like this whole
It's
show,
so
it's
good.
like so
Oh
reverent to
God.
like everything
Agreed.
X-Men and just
Right.
remixing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very relieved in a sense because I remember before it came out, there was all
Mhm.
this anxiety about like, is it gonna be just a nostalgia bait rehash? Are we going backwards? I mean, to a degree, it's very 90s, but it is very like, true to the original, but it's doing new things. It's using all the hindsight of the past 30 years to like, you know,
And
reinvigorate
quickly.
the franchise. Yeah.
Like I'm actually amazed at the speed at which they're going through these storylines, and almost to the point that I'm like, well,
Agreed.
geez, what's going to be left? What are we
Right.
left to talk about? And I
Right.
just
Yeah,
real quick want to champion Evolution just to throw some extra support there. Like
sure.
it's a different flavor. It's such a
Okay.
slow build because they had so many restrictions from the network, from
Hmm.
Huh.
Marvel, from whatever
Yeah.
ships at the time that they really slow churned it into something great at
Mm.
the end. And
Wow.
almost like it was kind of like a prequel to the original X-Men, where it's like, all right, it
Wow.
ended at one point, you're like, okay, I can now piece it together mentally and be like, okay, they're gonna go in that direction. Eventually, they're gonna end up in X-Men 92. So, and I think
Whoa.
even this one, 97, does pull some elements for sure from,
Hmm.
even when it comes to like Jean Grey's strength, just these last
Yeah.
episodes,
Wow.
Evolution was definitely a big, proponent for her.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, for sure.
That's true. Yeah.
Now, I
That's
will
all
absolutely
different
say
true.
flavors.
that
Hmm.
Rick and I actually met via our love for X-Men Evolution. Like
Cool.
for a few years ago, I was doing like live watch parties of X-Men Evolution episodes on Twitter, and back when they had spaces and it was popular. And so
Right.
that
During
stuff
the
is lost to
pandemic,
time.
right?
I don't
Yeah.
even remember, but yeah, it was like that's not something you can go back and listen to because I don't think Spaces quite works
Yeah.
like that. But
Wow.
I will give you guys a little sneak peek. Like I was thinking maybe after this season is done, on my watch list, I kind of want to watch the X-Men anime because I've never watched that for real. Like I did watch the
Mm.
first episode just like a few weeks ago, but like
It's a lot better than we remember, I think.
Huh.
Because even that first episode, I go back and I'm like, oh, I could see why I was kind of tired of the X3. It's very X3 in its way, where it's
Oh, I
like
see.
there was a little bit of like what is that called? It's just like, tired audience at that point,
Oh,
oversaturation.
right.
But now looking back, like you can really appreciate it a lot better.
yeah,
That's
so
interesting. I that happens. That happens a lot with canon. It's just like as time goes on, you're able to like kind of accommodate it and bring it and like, all right, well, yeah,
Right.
this made sense at this time, and this is the context for why it made sense, and you start to appreciate it more. It's like like Happy Batman era. It's like you appreciate it more in its context. But sorry to
Exactly.
interrupt, Freddie.
No, but you guys are good. Like
Sorry.
I will
Mhm.
say, like, I don't quite know what's next after we wrap up this season, but stay tuned, everybody. DMV comic book nerds. I do want to keep going, see what happens. Like, I didn't expect to be doing this, and like here we are. So
Bruh, you could do so much dope shit. You could do like X-Men like book club, virtual book club, bro. Like you
yeah,
crush that, bro. It'd be so dope. Like
that'd
you
be a
could just
lot of
do
fun.
like yeah, man, like a month, every month you have meet up, you get a bunch of people to read a book, couple of books, get some guests on, boom, and then we talk comics, man, and you keep it going, and then you could always like have considerations of what you think that the next season of X-Men will be. All right, well, why? Well, you could base it on the stories you could read could be based on what you think the next season of X-Men will be. You can easily do that, and it might garner some audience. Who knows? That'd be kind of dope.
Good idea. Good idea. Yeah, I will say, like,
There's a little bit of feedback.
oh,
Yeah, bit,
oh,
a little
my
bit,
end,
a little
on
bit.
my end.
On your end, yeah. You got a little bit of a Terminator voice too.
Yeah,
Oh
T3.
no.
You're better
You're better
now.
now. Better now.
Testing. Okay, good. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Yeah, always please let me know because I will adjust things.
Just
But
happened.
Just happened. Yeah. Now
okay,
you fixed it.
but I would say that um, you know, DMV comic book nerds, my goal for this has always been to give it to kind of have a focus on comic books. I kind of get distracted every time a comic book related show comes out because it's just so much to talk about.
Yeah, man.
But
Yeah. Word.
but I do want to keep comics in the focus, and you know, um, we'll see what happens. I mean, I might be burnt out from X-Men for a while. I might need to shift gears, but who knows? We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah, man. It'd be great. Either way you do it, man. There's more like we need your work, man. That just whatever you do, I'll be
Thank
tuned
you.
in. We need your work, man. We
Oh,
need it.
thanks. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
All
man.
right. Well, on that note, let's get into the episode. Like, there's so much to talk about. Um, Tolerance is Extinction Part 1. All right,
Mm.
so I think the best way to kind of go through this, let's just talk about it. Let's talk about the characters. You know, I think we should probably start with Cable because the episode starts with Cable. Like,
Mm.
I like that shot where he's like just out in the front lawn shooting like
Yeah.
bottles and
Bottle.
cans with his
Bottles. Yeah.
blaster gun.
That's
Yeah.
great. It kind of
Um,
reminded me of
Yeah.
the Cyclops, breaking the dishes from the movie, where
Oh
he's
yeah.
hitting him a
yeah.
little bit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a really great parallel there. I didn't even think about that. Wow. Nice, man. Nice
There
parallel.
were
Nice hat.
lots of movie parallels to
Yeah.
stuff. Like
Mhm.
later on, they're in the Blackbird, and then the Blackbird
Oh
gets
yeah.
destroyed again. But then a blue Porsche pops out, like
I couldn't
I
just like the
love
believe
car
that.
that.
Cyclops
I
had
couldn't
in
believe
the
that either.
X3.
I was
Yeah, I
like, all
think
right,
that
I
was
would buy
funny.
that toy.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, so totally buy that toy. What? Oh man, that's
I
great.
loved
Yeah, I thought that was great.
how I loved how they pointed out like this is our third Blackbird in like the whole
Yeah,
season.
I
Like
love
Beast is
that.
gonna be so mad.
Yeah, I love that too. I love that too. I Before I forget, there was one thing that I actually found quite gripping in that episode, is the Twin Towers. I don't
Yes,
know if anyone noticed, but the Twin Towers being up, like it really hit
immediately.
me. Yes,
I didn't
immediately, it like
notice.
hit me.
Where?
Oh my God. There's a scene when like Sunspot and Jubilee are sitting in Sunspot's mom's office. And
Right.
right before they pan into
Oh,
the actual office, they show the outside of New York. And when they show the outside of New York, you see the Twin Towers. And I
oh
personally,
my God.
yeah, it's a lot, man. Every time
I'm gonna have
I
to go back
have,
and look at that.
gotta go check it out. Yeah, because every time I like watch any movies from pre 2001, I always look for the Twin Towers. Any movies that have any
Hmm.
setting in New York, like
Sure.
that's why like it hits me like when I watch the old like Turtles movie from the 90s, bro, it hits me so hard because the Twin Towers are there. It's like there's so many things that remind me of that. So for them to put
Yeah.
that in here, they really committed like, oh no, this is from the 90s. This is from the 90s, a different world. Remember, this
Yeah.
is a
Like
different
Yeah.
I didn't
world.
even think
Yeah.
to look for that. So I'm definitely gonna have to go
Damn.
back and check that out.
Mhm.
Guys, crazy fact. Did you know that in the comic books, Juggernaut is responsible for destroying one of the Twin Towers? back before,
No.
way before the World Trade Center was attacked,
Oh,
Whoa,
before
dude, I did not
9/11.
know that. Holy Moses. No, I did not know
Crazy,
that.
yeah.
but
Like
in the
like
comics,
these are the things you could do before, like
Yeah, the
before real
comics.
events happen. Like they don't care until until it happens in like real life. Then they're like, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't do that.
I
But
mean, yeah. Whoa.
I
notably
mean, there have
there
been
was.
bombings at the Twin Towers
Yeah,
before, so I mean, maybe it was some
Mhm.
sort of like real life, art imitates real life kind of thing. Because even actually, now that
Maybe,
you say that, now we live in an X-Men 97 world where Genosha happened, but the
right.
Twin Towers are
yeah,
still standing. Like, how interesting is
Right.
that
Indeed. Well
parallel?
put.
yeah,
What a
and
great parallel. Mm.
hmm and yeah, I don't remember the exact year that Juggernaut comic book came out. I'll look that up later, but um, yeah, um, what was I gonna say? Twin Towers.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
Okay, but one thing I want to say before we go on, I do think about the parallel that you just made with Genosha and the Twin Towers. The parallel that Bo said that he was trying to make was his experience with, but Genosha was his experience around being and queer and being queer and being in a space that he lives that he takes up as a queer man, and he kind of likened it to the Pulse shooting, the Pulse nightclub
Yes,
shooting.
Yeah,
as
So
well.
yeah, so I think like wow, that is a really really great point to actually examine that the Twin Towers are still up even after Genosha fell. It's also important to examine that these types of spaces, such as a place like Genosha that represents a place for minorities, usually is prey to falling. Usually is attacked. It's so there are times in which places like that, like a stone wall or something like that, will get like attacked and be trampled or toppled in some way, and the Twin Towers still stood for a long time. I mean, I think that the point is that these spaces do exist and these spaces do get um, destroyed, even without people knowing, even without the general populace caring. I think that Genosha kind of represents that, like, because it's a mutant-based
Right.
place. It's a place for minorities. So, like that place, yeah, it happens. Like those things happen. Places blow up. Whatever. It's fine. And I think that's the whole point, and showing that the Twin Towers still exist because the world collectively didn't care about Genosha the way that the world collectively cared about the Twin Towers falling.
It's a
I think
great
that might have
point.
been the parallel there. I think.
Yeah, no,
well, I
that's
don't know how
really
much the
valid.
world cared about the
Mm.
Twin Towers falling. I do think
The
America
world.
definitely cared. Like, I think
Yeah.
people outside of America had a different perspective sometimes. But um, but you guys make excellent points, and like we're all still reeling from the attack on Genosha, and just from things we've witnessed in real life. Like, we all experienced 9/11. We all experienced so many other things since then, unfortunately, and a lot of people have even experienced things prior to that as well. So um, like you said, Bo DeMeo did uh speak about how he was influenced by 9/11, by the Pulse shooting, and I do kind of want to um, you know, switch topics and talk about this scene here with Jubilee and Roberto and his mom, because everything going on with Roberto is very much driven by the queer metaphor.
Mm,
His like
mm,
he's been closeted. He finally comes out to his mom, and she is okay with it, but she also wants him to remain in the closet. And
mm.
Jubilee is like, "F that business. Let's go to the mall." And she's been the one trying to encourage him to come out of his shell, so to speak. Um,
Wow. Yeah.
and in this scene, Roberto's mom is like, I'm gonna throw a fundraiser for Genosha, because it's not like those X-Men are doing anything about it. Because the X-Men have just been slandered in the news by Bastion. He's revealed that Professor X was supposed to become the emperor of the Shi'ar galaxy because he had some stolen satellites, and he also revealed that Professor X is not dead. But on top of that, he revealed something else. What was the second thing? Um,
Mm.
there was something else that happened in that episode.
He made his move in this episode, man. He really struck hard in this episode. He
Hmm
did.
Yeah,
He
but there was
struck
something
hard.
else that he did to discredit the X-Men, and
Oh, I
so like
forget.
their reputation is in the toilet. And then um, so um, we do see.
Mm. trying to remember.
a lot
Forget
going
what he
on
did.
with yeah, it's all right. But
Gyrick was killed.
oh
Ah,
yeah, he reveals that they killed Gyrick.
Right. Which was
right.
actually
Thank
Bastion.
you.
It was
Right,
actually Bastion. So
right.
like again, framing them, making them look bad. I guess you could call it like a false flag or something. But yeah, it's just been a rough time for the X-Men. It's only getting rougher. Um, but yeah, any thoughts about Roberto and Jubilee this episode before we kind of move on from them?
Yeah, I mean, Sunspot kind of revealed his powers in full force this episode and then some.
Yeah, and that he could fly. Yeah,
I do
which we knew,
feel it
but like,
kind of fell
did we know
flat.
that? Yeah, we knew that.
Oh,
In my
interesting.
opinion, it kind of fell
Yeah.
flat. I didn't
Huh.
feel like it was a big enough reveal or a big enough. I don't know if like the orchestra was really going into full gear for me.
Gotcha.
Like it
No, I hear
needed
that.
some more moving music. I
Well,
feel like
it was heat of the moment, like he had
it
to
was,
respond to
yeah.
the attack. And for
Right.
me, I will say, when I first watched this episode, I was taking notes while I was watching, but then
Mhm.
once the Prime Sentinel attack happened and everybody was getting attacked on all different fronts, I had stopped taking notes. I was just like, "What's going on? This is crazy."
It was a lot, yeah.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, there was a lot that happened there when he like actually had all of the Sentinels. Like there was a lot. Yeah, there was a lot that went on with I thought that was actually really well done. I think that the way that actually everything kind of rolled out was well done. But I do agree with you. I do think that Sunspot's reveal could have been a little bit more like
Just because we've been waiting so many
punched up.
episodes.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah,
We got like
exactly.
an arm at one point. We got
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
his face when he was scared with his mom
yeah.
twisting into a zombie.
I mean, I think we'll get some more before the season is over, but yeah, maybe
That's a
it
good
wasn't
point.
like the top five moment of the episodes, unfortunately, for
It
I
me.
might
think.
come later on. That's
Yeah.
actually a great point, Freddie, because I
Mhm.
think
Mhm.
the same thing happened with a different character where you thought it was going to be the big reveal because we've been waiting for so long, but it wasn't
Oh,
until the actual like climactic moment of an episode. So maybe he's standing up to his mother
I
later.
think I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, let's talk a little bit about Valerie Cooper.
Oh,
Is
Valerie
that who you're talking
Cooper.
about?
No, but that's a whole nother story. Yes, Valerie
Yeah,
Cooper.
I think she was. I thought she was quite compelling, and I think that she represents like the discussion around allyship and what that looks
Yeah.
like and
Mm-hmm.
how how complicated that journey could be and how harmful it could
Yeah.
be for the minorities or the people that could be harmed
Mm-hmm.
to trust an ally, how like difficult that could be. I think that
Yeah.
she represents that, even though she's made so many mistakes, and I think that she actually wasn't even aware of how to even take accountability for the mistakes that she made. And then I think she just at the last minute was like, I'll do something hopefully that'll be worthwhile and let Magneto loose, which was worthwhile. But I
Yeah.
think that kind of spoke to her inability to understand how to be accountable for her actions along the way and how that
Mm-hmm.
actually relates to actually being harmful to the X-Men. I don't think that she really understood her role fully. And I think this
Yeah.
episode kind of showed that.
Well, before I lose the train of thought, Rick, who were you talking about if not Val?
It was like I think it might have been even Gambit early on because like it took a couple episodes for him to get obviously his moment in Genosha. I guess
Uh-huh.
what my point was when we first saw the series, like even Storm, like she got a big
Mm-hmm.
moment when she walked in what was that, the desert? Where they
Mm-hmm. Life, death.
no, even before that, before she lost her powers, like her first big moment.
Oh yeah, in the first
Well,
episode.
That's right. It's just they do a great job of like bait and switching. So even Valerie
Mm-hmm.
coming back to her, like I'm not
Yeah.
convinced this isn't Mystique. I don't know to
See,
trust her or
see,
not.
see, see, this is
whoa,
where I have to say, like, I was watching this
interesting.
episode and I was trying to see, like, what are they gonna say? Like, first she pops out of the shadow and she's got like a
Yeah,
Bastion like outfit on.
and
So
that's kind of
we think she's
rushed.
part of we kind of realize she's part of Zero Tolerance or
Right.
Operation Zero Tolerance. And so I'm waiting to figure out, is this Mystique? Is it not
That's
Mystique? But like if
fascinating.
you remember back on our previous episode, I was the one saying like it could be Mystique, but but I kind of prefer Valerie Cooper when she's not Mystique, because in the comic
Right.
books she was separate from Mystique. Like Val Cooper was her own human person, and she was
Hmm.
working with Raven Darkholme, who's like Mystique. So
And it's a stronger
um,
story that way. If it was
yeah,
Mystique,
because
Hmm.
I
instead
actually
of
prefer her.
everything.
Yeah, I
Right.
said back then, like I prefer her to be an ally, like you're
Oh
saying,
yeah.
Travell.
Right.
Like it makes we need to have some human allies on the X-Men side for it to be,
Not Trish Tilby.
Hmm.
well,
Yeah.
we
Oh,
will talk
Trish.
about her in a bit. Yeah, but yeah, I was very intrigued with the fact that this episode kind of, for me, proved that Val is not Mystique, even though it hinted that she could be
Right.
with like
Hmm.
the way she was like showing concern for Magneto. But then they didn't do it, and I feel like Bastion would know if it was Mystique, because like he doesn't like mutants. Okay. But like but since there are 2 episodes left, it could still be Mystique. We don't
Yeah.
know, but
Could
I kind
be.
of hope it's not. I'm kind of erring on that side of it. What about you guys? Think
I
it'll be
think
her?
I don't I'm erring on it, hoping that it's not as well, because I think that undermines the whole like discussion around allyship and like
Yeah,
how like what that
agreed.
looks like and how complicated that road is. And I think that if they were to make it just be Mystique, then you got to tell a different story. And I don't know how in what way they're going to tell that story. I mean,
Yeah,
like, yeah, I don't know.
it seems like it would be like cheap shock value, like, oh, it's a twist, but like for
Yeah,
what
yeah.
purpose, you know?
Right.
For what purpose
Unless,
precisely?
yeah, unless not to speculate too much, unless she winds up getting killed and then replaced.
That
Kind
would be
of how
cool.
Mystique comes in at the end to,
Right.
she's done that a couple times to
Mm.
replace,
Hmm.
somebody.
Oh
Actually,
my God. Do you guys
Kelly.
remember Days of Future Past, the movie where like Mystique showed up at the end?
Yeah,
She took over not Trask,
Riker.
Striker,
Stryker,
yeah.
and they
Yeah.
never did anything with that. Like that was such
Nope.
a waste of an
Mm.
end credit scene. Like,
And
Yeah,
also
that's
at the
such a
end
good
of
point.
X-Men, the original movie, didn't she take over for, was it Trask? Had the otherwise?
No, she took over for the president.
Oh, Kelly, right,
Kelly, for Kelly, Senator Kelly. Not the president,
right.
Senator Kelly. Yeah,
That's
Senator
right.
Kelly she took over for. I
Yeah,
don't
so
know
that
what
could
that led
totally
to
happen.
either. Yeah, it led to nothing.
We'll see what
I don't
happens.
they had a
know.
lot of bad
Yeah,
like cliffhangers on in that series,
yeah,
unfortunately. That was
yeah.
before
That's a
the
shame.
MCU, when they kind of figured out how to. I mean,
Tighten
even the
things up.
MCU has a few messed up like post-credit scenes that they never refer to again.
Now
But
they
like, but
do. Now they do. After a generation, after we got past Endgame, that's when things. Well, no, I think after we got past Infinity War, the first Avengers movie. After the first Avengers movie, actually, is when everything started to get a little bit more messy. After the first Avengers movie, because everything was really
I mean,
tight until the first
it's
Avengers
hit.
movie.
Yeah, it's hit or miss. Like I feel like it's more hit than miss with MCU,
Mm,
but I feel like Phase 4 was all set up, and hopefully
yeah.
Phase 5 will give more delivery of like the things that they introduced. We'll see. Um, and
Mm,
even Phase 6, I don't know when that starts. And I think
yeah, we'll
X-Men
see.
97 has really changed the game. Like just the
Oh
success of it
yeah.
so far.
I
Like,
saw someone online. Well, no, actually, the AV Club wrote a piece and said that this is the best X-Men media ever. Like this is the best like X-Men anything we've had ever. And Bo
yeah, a lot of
DeMeo like
people have been
on
saying
was
that.
like Bo DeMeo was tip his hat to them. It was like thank you, blah blah blah. Blah. And I actually may have to agree. I don't think that there is any X-Men media that I've seen that actually is topping this so far. I
Like, you
really don't
mean
think so.
outside of the comics or including the comics?
I think outside the comics because I honestly
Mm,
think the House of X and the Powers of X is some of the best comic books I've read in some time. I think
hmm
that it was a gargantuan feat and it was really really difficult to do what they did, and they for the most part stuck the landing. And I think that I'm still reading it, but I just to know that what they did with the pre-existing canon and then tying it all up and making the pre-existing canon make sense and making like respecting and working within the laws of what comic books are and using that to their advantage when it comes to talking that story telling the story about reincarnation with the X-Men.
hmm
I think that's a technique that they use that from comic books that everybody knows. Like you kill off a character or someone that you can bring the character back, but what if that's its own technique? What if that's its own story beat? And I think that they use that to their avail, and I think that's really some smart writing, especially for the X-Men. So I don't really think that it's going to trump the comics, but I do think that when it comes to any like live action, animated media, anything, I think this is the strongest outing that they've ever had. I think.
What about you, Rick?
Yeah, I think that the show is really a trailer for the comics. So it's your
Hmm.
gateway, it's what brings you in. That's why they can't really go over everything in every episode. So it's really just to kind of whet your appetite, and then you go into the comics for the full story. But it's
Yeah.
been really amazing to see how they've pulled inspiration and source material from so many different
Right.
venues, that even this Valerie Cooper, she's got somewhat of Moira X vibes, just her
Hmm.
outfit. That's what I immediately thought of. So it's great to see how they twist and turn and kind of keep you on your toes in that way.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
yeah, sorry about that.
I mean, yeah, like we did actually see Moira in the Genosha episode. And I will say for me, like I agree, like this has been a great show so far. I do kind of want to reserve judgment until like the season finale or even like the series finale, like to kind of have overall view of like where this stands in terms of like all X-Men stuff. Because like you said, Rick, they are burning through storylines pretty quick. And I think that's one of the biggest complaints I've heard about this show so far. And I've had it myself. I'm just kind of like, okay, like Life Death was cut short. It didn't really
So,
get the attention it needed. Like it had some great moments
Mhm.
and it hit the highlights, but it just really kind of didn't
Yeah.
like Storm deserved a full episode, I think.
oh, for
Um,
sure.
and then on top of that, like they tried to do Inferno in one episode, and then, like Genosha, at least the Genosha storyline is being drawn
Picked
out
back
more,
up.
and the
Yeah.
OZT they're kind of merging it and everything. But like, I don't know. I mean, there are definitely a few, like not to be negative, but I do think I have a few criticisms that I might share more at a later date.
Mhm.
I will
But right
say,
now,
just one thing while we're talking about like the magic of this series is that it now enriches the old series. So even after
yeah.
that Life Death Part Two and Xavier's, um, romance book in space, like
Hmm.
watching how the Shi'ar, treat Xavier and what they think of the
Mhm.
human race and what they think of Earth, going back to the Phoenix Saga and seeing how Lilandra is interacting with the X-Men and trying to
Right.
help them, while the even what was it, the Kree and Skrull was saying, yeah, let them try to, fight for Jean. But it really enriches that experience. Now you can go back and be like, oh, this is so it's almost like watching it brand new again in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Couldn't agree
Like it's
more.
definitely a great show. Go ahead.
Mhm. Oh no, I was simply going to say I couldn't agree more. I was going to say that I think that, like, to add on to what you were saying, she mentions her brother in that episode, and in the original series, her brother Cortez. You can go back and watch how he was bugging out because, like, she's like, oh, because they mentioned they were like, we don't want it to be like your brother all over again and all this crazy, and you could go
To
back
Ken,
to the
right?
episode and watch it and be like, oh, he was bugging, and it changes your whole relationship with that episode and when they talk about like what previously happened. And I really appreciate that, and I absolutely think you're right that it enriches that whole experience of going back and watching it again. It enriches it. I agree. It's great.
Agreed. All right. Well, so we talked about Valerie Cooper. Let's talk about Magneto.
Oh boy.
This guy,
So in this episode, he was giving Silver Fox, he was giving pecs, he was giving abs, muscles for
everything.
days. What does Magneto need all these muscles for? We don't know. But
How much of him did Bastion shave too?
right, like
Right.
what
He's
is
like
Bastion even
shaving.
doing? Like he's just like
Yeah.
shaving
Oh
him,
man.
taking his clothes off, hanging him up, like doing some BDSM stuff for no
With the
reason.
speedo, right? This is mad sexual, right? It's so sexual. I was
This
like,
is
wow,
crazy.
it's great. It's great.
Collar, yep.
Magneto looked good with his Silver Fox
Wow.
self, but I just don't understand why.
Well, what's the plan here? I mean, we didn't get the reveal. We don't understand how he survived. We don't
Yeah,
Like this is
know.
my
right.
complaint. It's just that, like so much moves and happens so fast. We don't really get to think about what's going
Right.
on, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense sometimes. And
Well,
hopefully
like,
we'll get
why?
a reveal. But
Yeah, what were they going to do? Like, what were they planning to do with him? They seemed like this was very elaborate. There's like purple light on. Like, what's happening? Like,
Why is he
were they?
surrounded by
Yeah,
video?
surrounded by videos, right? Exactly. Like, word. Like, what do
Yeah.
y'all got going on over here? There's something going on over here. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
And who are all
Hopefully
those
we'll find
people in
out
the
in the
video?
next two episodes. But I do want to shout out that this X-shaped crucifix they kind of have him up
Yeah, I
posted
dig
up
that.
on.
I
This is
saw
based
that.
off of the comic books. Like
Hmm.
there's an old Uncanny X-Men comic book where Wolverine is
Right.
up on the X.
In the Outback.
Um,
Right.
so that's interesting. And
And also
We
too,
need
yeah,
to talk
later
about
on
Wolverine. We
we'll
also
talk
need to
about
talk
Wolverine in a
about
second.
Wolverine.
We will,
Yeah.
but we got to finish talking about Magneto because later on, like we saw Val, she decided to release him, and
Mhm.
he like goes to like the North Pole or the South Pole or somewhere cold and unleashes a global EMP to destroy the Sentinel fleet that's attacking. And like it was amazing. And
yeah.
what do you
Mhm.
guys think of that? Like I don't have
They've
a
done
picture of it,
such a
but
good job for as much Magneto exposure as we've had since Fox, got off the ground with the X-Men franchise. They've done such a great job of coming up with inventive ways of making Magneto exciting again and really showing
yeah,
off what he can do.
exciting and sexy. Like from that purple costume to this
Yeah.
speedo, like
Mhm.
like come
Mhm.
on, Magneto. Like you don't have to be the sexiest one on the show unless you want to
Right.
be. Like go ahead.
My wife was telling me the same thing. My wife was telling me, which I thought was really fascinating, that to go back to your point was that like it really like physically bothered her to see Magneto like tied up and like bound. Like it's
Yeah.
physically bothered her. And I think that speaks
And
a
the collar,
lot
we
to
can't we can't
the collar.
we can't
Oh
we have
yeah.
to mention that he's collared up, which
He's collared. Yeah,
represents
right.
the complete oppression of the mutant race and the
Indeed.
suppression of their powers.
Well put, well put. I agree with that, and it's very true. It's absolutely that there's iconography around that is it's like very important to note. But my wife bringing that up, I thought was a really good point because it speaks to how in what ways time has actually shaped Magneto's personality, like around how the public perceives him, how like because of how like how because of how well he's being depicted in the last I don't know 20 years and so many different forms of media we have this like sort of like grandiose idea of like how he's supposed to be presented. So when you place him in positions like this, it is so bothersome to the average viewer that knows who Magneto
Yeah.
is and knows it's like it's akin to like seeing Vegeta grovel. Like if you see Vegeta grovel, there's something that just hurts your soul to see like a character that is so proud and has like, gone through so much to find their pride to be like in a position in which they are like disabled from it. There's something really really powerful about that and it automatically like kicks up a level of fury in whoever's watching. And I think that to have and not even beyond that, it's like justifiable rage. And I think that
Yeah.
to like depict that through Magneto, I think is like really, really powerful. And I think that's been being done in this episode. And I really, really like it. I think it's great.
Yeah, Magneto has been through so much. He's literally lived through the Holocaust. Like he doesn't need this. Like we don't like to see him treated this way. I noticed that not only was he collared and tied up, but he wasn't gagged. Like his mouth was
Right.
free. But he chose to be silent in the face of oppression. Like that's a symbol of strength where you just don't give in to what your oppressor wants. Like you don't scream, you don't cry, like you don't like you like sometimes you if you have to, I don't blame you. But Magneto, he's been through this before. He's not going to give his oppressors an inch. Like
Right.
even if they kept his mouth free, he has nothing to say to them because they're
Yeah.
beneath him. He knows that
I
like
agree.
they don't deserve anything he has to say. He's just going to wreck them the first chance he gets. So, and he
I
does
think
in an
there's
epic
something
way.
powerful about that. I mean, like my wife and I were talking about that very thing about how, even though the senator like tried to ask him questions and was like, "Can you like just talk to me and tell me what I did wrong and tell me, that you forgive me, give me something like some." She pleaded with him to speak to her, and he did not say a word to her. My wife and I have had this debate for a very long time about if you're in conflict with someone, should you take the time out and actually try to resolve it, or is it ever appropriate just to not even talk to them and just to leave it be? And my wife and I have been in debate about this for a very long time. And this episode kind of proved her point around like how when you decide not to say something to someone that hurt you or someone that you trusted or someone that you decide just you put up a boundary with, the one of the worst things you can do is to not say a word to them because it represents that you've taken back a part of yourself and that they have no control over you and they want to have some sort of influence or control over you or influence or show some level of influence that they have over you in some way. And you not saying anything, it shows that they do not. It shows that you have no influence at all, and you take back a part of yourself. And I think that Magneto did that in this episode and showed how powerful that is. I think he showed like his level of like self efficacy around that, and I'm actually really proud of it. I think that that was really well done when it came to how Magneto was presented in that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, sometimes silence speaks volumes.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I think, you know, but sometimes effective speech can be very important. Like Magneto's speeches that he gave in episode 2 were very impactful. So it's like sometimes you just gotta gauge within yourself if it's time to speak or if it's time to be silent. And there aren't always perfect answers, but Magneto is definitely, you know, killing every scene he's in just by being awesome.
He's just a great character, man.
Anything else about Magneto before we move on?
I one last thing I do want to say is that I know like there have been times in other parts of the show that he did have these like really wonderful magnanimous speeches about certain things, and I think that it's important to note that his platform was different and his ability to actually feel confident in himself and his ability to feel confident in his abilities was totally different. So he had more space to say what he needed to say around certain things. In this case, he's gagged and bound and completely held up. It's against his will. So the only power that he can't exhibit is through those things. It's through actually withholding his speech because everything else he's powerless in every other way. So that's what I think is even more important about him is that he shows that even under those circumstances, he's still very powerful and he still is not willing to relinquish his power.
Yeah. He was so powerful that his impact was felt around the globe. And I gotta shout out the cameos we saw. We saw
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
the Spidey.
We
Yeah,
Yeah,
more
saw
than just a
Omega
fan.
Red. We saw Silver
right,
Samurai. Like this was just
right.
like the old series with the cameos they would throw in with these gigantic global events. Like, that was so cool. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, that
I
was
love that.
great. That was great. Especially seeing Spider-Man full-fledged. And then
Yeah,
there's been a little bit of
90s
like
Spider-Man.
stirring going around. Fans are desperate to get a continuation of that series too, and hoping that this might, resurrect maybe a little bit of a Marvel unit pocket universe. So who knows? But
We shall see.
just to add one more thing, yeah, for Magneto, just being such a vocal character, on the regular, like you said, for him to withhold speech, being his only power left, I think that really is very powerful. And then, also there was that comment made by Wolverine that he's starting a war, at this point.
Mm,
So words aren't enough anymore. So he really
mm,
is taking action. So I think that's really
mm.
interesting.
Thank you.
Well
Thank you,
said.
Rick, for saying that. Thank you, Rick. Yeah, well said. Indeed. Wow. Hmm.
I do want to talk a bit about Bastion. Um, and in particular, I mean, I don't have too much to say about Bastion, but I did notice he had like a assistant who was bald. She was dark skinned. I'm wondering if this is Karima.
I was
I don't
thinking
know how to
that.
say her last name, but
Mm.
like, she becomes, the Omega Sentinel. She's sometimes an ally, sometimes an enemy. I didn't catch
Hmm.
if they named her, but like, I'm like, that's gotta be her, right?
I didn't hear it, but that was my first thought as well.
Oh,
Cool, cool. We'll have to
I
keep an
don't
eye
think I
out
even
there,
noticed
see if she
that.
comes
I
back.
didn't even notice that. I was like, yeah, wow.
Zoom in. Yeah, I mean, it would fit. I don't know too much about that character, even in the comics. She's kind of been
Mhm.
on the outside of my purview, but she's been awesome in House of X. That was
Hmm.
really a surprise turn for that character. So it would, like I said, they've been kind of pulling some House of X themes into this, which is actually why
Absolutely.
I'm like, wait, but they also did the House of X comic, so are we just not getting House of X
Yeah,
next season?
yeah,
Is
yeah.
have
We
we
Yeah,
might.
with
I
with
I
everything
could
they've
see
done with
that.
Genosha, I don't think we're going to get any at
yeah.
Krakoa, but like the Genosha incident was not only drawing from E is for Extinction, but it was also very much like the Hellfire Gala of last year,
You're
2023.
so right.
Like I don't know if they did that in the comics to synergize with this show because they probably knew, like someone in Marvel knew what was going on, or maybe it was just a coincidence because like everyone loves to have like a red wedding type of moment on a show these days. But all I'm saying is like having like still grieving what happened at the Hellfire Gala last year. It was very rough. I'm still grieving Genosha. Like it's just like too much, y'all. Like let's ease up. Let's give him something. Like
so true. So true. Yeah, but to add on to what you're saying about the Spider-Man continuation, I actually think that there's space to like bring back all of that, to bring back like the Fantastic Four show, bring back the Incredible Hulk show, the Iron Man show. They have a whole they're I think that they're really sitting on a gold mine, right? I think that they're underestimating. I was just telling my wife, I think that like the next gold mine rush is going to be video games and animation. I think American animation is going to come up in a different way. I think that I really think so. I think that Avatar: The Last Airbender set the new standard for American animation, and then from there, everyone's getting this new interest in it because it got back on Netflix. So I think that's going to kick up some stuff. And then now we have X-Men. So now everything is just going to blow up. So I think that Spider-Man could be next. I think there's just too much. There's still a story left, and everyone's there's people, there's people still alive. There's everyone's still around to do it.
And a dedicated fan base,
right? And a dedicated fan base. It's like it's silly not to do it.
Well, I do want to say that one thing we do know is on the forecast is the MCU has this show called Spider-Man Freshman Year coming up, or I guess now it's been retitled to Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man or something.
That's right.
And like this has been in production almost as long as X-Men 97, as far as I can remember. So
has there been any update on this?
I do think I've seen that it's still, to be released maybe next year. We'll see.
Oh, wow.
So like this would be an interesting diversion from the 90s animated universe because this would be a brand new thing.
Right.
It looks kind of influenced by the comics and also by the Tom Holland Spider-Man. I don't know. Like
I think it's actually set in the movie universe, isn't it?
Well,
I think at first it was supposed to be, but I think they've kind of like distanced themselves from that because Tom Holland is getting older, I guess. And he's gonna, we saw what happened at the end of No Way Home. So this is like it was gonna be like a prequel to the movies, but I think they've kind of said maybe it's gonna be more of an AU multiversal thing.
Oh wow!
So we'll see.
Yeah, that's interesting. Huh.
Like it would be kind of weird to have two Spider-Man shows at the same time. Like, and if they did bring back the 90s Spider-Man, I'm sure it'd be years of production before we actually see it.
Yeah, it's gonna be we got
to remember Sony is still in charge of Spider-Man as a movie franchise.
Oh, even so, they don't have the rights to the show at all. I'm surprised they don't have the rights to the show for Spider-Man.
Well, Sony has been more generous since they know that MCU is more successful. Like right. like Sony will still pump out stuff to keep the rights, but like we all know it's not going to be MCU level. Like, did anyone see Madam Web? Because I didn't see it yet.
I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it because I kind of want to hate watch it.
I mean, it's coming out on Netflix this month. It's coming out on Netflix on the 14th, I believe.
Oh,
great. I'll watch it there.
Yeah, awesome. We'll all watch it. Maybe we'll do a podcast about it.
We should do a podcast about it. I'll take an edible and we'll watch it. It's going to be fun. Oh, man. I cannot wait to laugh at that.
Yeah.
Man. It's great.
All right. Well, back to the topic of X-Men because it's 10 o'clock and we got hit so many more things. So if you'll indulge me, let's talk about who do you guys want to talk about next?
I just want to say I'm still upset about Madeline Pryor. That's it. That's all.
I mean, me too. What are you mad about?
Point.
I mean, I don't know. You got me to care about her. You rushed Inferno. You got me to care about her. She's, she it was such a beautiful moment that she got with Cable, but like,
that's
it. That's all I get.
I actually I hear you, but I also think that it gives way for Hope and their relationship with like Cable, Hope, and that whole nuclear family that's gonna come about. I
Oh, you mean
think that
Gene
gives
or Hope?
Gene. I think it gives
Oh, I
Gene the
see.
space to be the mom figure for Cable.
I
And
agree. I
then like when
agree.
time comes around and they actually have Cable and Hope at the same time as she'll be. So I actually think that I understand what you're saying about Madeline Price death being gone and being like missing her. But I think I think that's not, I think that that's also kind of by design. I think that the decisions that they made around like Jean saying that she, still feels her feelings as if she was never,
Yes.
as if, oh, as if I had gave birth to the
But
kid.
I'm
And,
telling you, I'm of that
you
school
know,
that they are separate people. Like
they are separate people.
even in
They
this
are,
cartoon, like I'm like they are
right.
separate
They are
individuals.
separate people. I think so
Well,
too. And I think that's
my
great.
I gotta
Mhm,
say my take on it is, and I kind of like this because
mhm.
the '97 series, their their take on Madeline Pryor is very much that she's, you know, a clone of Jean from the start. Like they do share memories, and
Yeah, it was really
the stuff
interesting.
they added this episode, just the way that Jean remembers being pregnant with Nathan and the emotions attached to
Right.
it, and like it's a lot because they both have these memories, but the most interesting thing for me is that now their paths are diverged. And if Madeline is not dead, maybe she's in limbo somewhere, or maybe she will come back somehow. I don't know. That would be interesting to see more of her develop into her own person, even if she has a past that's shared with Jean. But for now, I just think, you know, it's kind of interesting because it's different from the comics. Because in the comics, Madeline Pryor started out as a totally different person,
Mhm.
and then the clone reveal came. And then it was decades before she was even alive and could get the memories that Jean had. So it's like, um, she's I don't know. I think if we do get to see more of her, it could be interesting. But it does seem like with this episode, they were trying to
Give it some closure for
give us some
sure.
closure and give more of it to Jean so she can take the place of, Cable's mother, Scott's wife. Like, I think they're trying to
Even
mend
Rachel
that bond a
Summers.
bit.
We got a flash of
Oh
Rachel
my
Summers.
gosh, yes, we did. A flash of Rachel Summers, a
Never thought
flash
that would
of
Really?
happen.
Polaris too. But
Did we get a
and
flash
when
of
Cable
Rachel
was
Summers?
yeah,
Yeah,
when
yeah, in
Cable
the
was talking
future.
about the future, there
Yeah.
was a clip of Polaris and a clip of
Is
Rachel
she
Summers, and
building
they were
a
both
bridge?
old. Yeah, they're using their
Whoa.
powers. It's crazy. Like,
Whoa.
You
I
missed
that's
gotta
it?
such a
take a look at
crazy
that again.
cameo.
Wow. I gotta take a look at that again. Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I if I'm gonna say I actually do hear your point of view, but I'm an adopted. I was adopted by my grandparents, and I think that I think that the whole situation with Madeline Pryor and Jean Grey may be a statement on parenting and adopting and the
Hmm.
experience around being a parent and actually, not having not having that kid be your own kid, but also still kind of stepping in as a parent and what that
Absolutely.
looks like. That's
Yeah.
kind of I read it that way. That's how I read it when
Right.
I was like, oh, like she's now trying to like re-engage herself as a soon to be parent and like or and some sort of parental figure. I think that's why I actually called out when she was like saying something about him putting on his seatbelt. She was like, put on your
Yeah.
seatbelt, like blah, blah, blah. Like I think that she already kind of was starting to fall into being his
Yeah, it
mom.
was
And I
great.
think that was kind of a statement on being an adoptive parent. I think that's how I was kind of
Well, yeah,
looking at it.
especially after that conversation with Nightcrawler and adopting,
Yeah.
Right.
the adopted siblings.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Family is more
Right.
than blood. Family is who you
Right.
choose. And like that was such a
Right.
beautiful conversation. And like
Indeed.
and I did see that as well. I think that it was kind of funny to see Cable being kind of like a grown child. He's like, "You're not my mom."
Yeah.
Like way to act like you care, Dad. Like,
Right.
like,
Right.
like
I
it's too
like
late
that.
for that.
I love that
Like it was
actually.
kind of funny, especially because he's so much older than them, or at least he appears to be. But can
Mhm.
we talk a little bit about Bishop? Because like, where is Bishop?
Where is
We're
my
told
boy?
that
Right.
Bishop didn't even make it into the future with Cable. We don't know
Cable.
where he's
Right.
at. Like, I'm actually very upset about this on multiple levels.
Yeah.
Like,
He just
first
like
of all, it's
left.
yeah, and first of all, it's disappointing that Bishop has been, missing from the show for, since he left in episode
Since episode 3.
three.
Three. Yeah.
And then on top of that, Like, you're telling us he didn't even know what he was doing when he took the baby to the future? Like,
It
I
failed the
made this
mission.
stupid little meme. I don't know if it's
Damn,
probably terrible, but like,
for real. No, that's a good meme. That's
Who
true
came up with
though.
this?
yeah,
That's
it's for
horrible.
those who can't see this, it's a mother tossing her baby like shooting a free throw basketball, like, and it's Bishop tossing Nathan into the time stream because that's,
I
I
just
mean, he,
love how both the baby and the mother are smiling as
yeah.
she's
I do love
in this
that.
photo. It's great. It's great. It's great.
Um,
And unfortunately, we see this a lot in X-Men. Like Mystique did this to
right.
To
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler. Yeah.
Some people would say that Madeline did this to Nathan. Some people might disagree. I don't know. What do you
Nathan's
think,
just being
Rick?
tossed around, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I did notice how in this episode Cyclops took credit for sending Nathan to the future. It's
Yes,
like,
I
when
got
I
irked by
decided to
that.
send him into the
Interesting.
future, I hoped that
Interesting.
it would be better for him. But now he comes back and tells me it was terrible. Like, what
Those
kind
were
of father am
Madeline's
I?
words. Madeline said, "Give him a chance by setting him into the future." So
Hmm.
again, justice for
Interesting.
Madeline.
I respect that. No, that's a really good point. I'm also of camp. I'm camp Cyclops around a lot of those things though, because I think that he has a lot of issues with abandonment, and he has not checked in on. And I think that he actually takes it out on his family and doesn't know that he is. I don't think he really understands the ways in which he hasn't really been like fully showing up and been accountable for his actions with his family at times. And I think that leads to him saying stuff like that, being like, "Well, when I did this," as if like that wasn't a two-person decision. Like, yo, bro, like
Right.
we did this, like we made this decision. Both him and Madeline made that decision, and he shouldn't take full responsibility around those things. But I think that is a part of him being adopted, being a prodigal son of Charles Xavier, being a leader. He thinks
Right.
everything's about him. He did everything himself. So I feel for him. It's a hard
I think
position.
this episode's trying to make amends for his character again,
Mm,
bringing them
yeah.
together, having this little family episode.
Mm,
He's driving, but they're all using their powers. So it was
Yeah,
mm.
kind of nice to see that
it's
Yeah,
episode.
that
great.
was great. Oh, I loved it.
And they go to investigate Bastion's home. Like, we get to see his childhood home. We meet his mother. She's old. She
Wait,
go ahead.
before we go further, I'm so sorry. I had a question for Rich. I wanted to ask you because I know you mentioned something about how you actually do art. So I wanted to ask you, since we're on this screen looking at the art of Cable, Cyclops, and Jean Grey from this episode, the most recent episode, I wanted to ask you about the color palettes. What do you think of the color palettes in this? I think that it's not exactly the same as the show from the 90s, from 95, 97, no, 92 X-Men. It's a little bit brighter in certain cases and a little bit muted in others. What do you think of the decisions around the styling when it comes to the art? If I can ask you.
Yeah, I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around the animation.
Mm,
Because I remember when they first started talking about the series, and I think a lot of us were kind of fearing where it was going to go. It was going to
mm,
be more in the style of the What If animated
mm,
series, where it's more like cell shaded,
mm,
almost like more like video game live
Yeah,
capture,
CGI
yeah,
and like
CGI-ish.
mm-hmm.
So I
modeled.
don't
Yeah.
know if they did that and
No,
then
it's definitely like looking at it now, there's a lot
Hmm.
of 2D animation going on. Like
well,
they
but
might have some.
I think they, I'm pretty sure that's why it was delayed so much. At least that's what
Hmm.
I'm understanding was that they went back and made it 2D because
I'm
there was going to be a huge backlash from fans that it didn't look like
yeah,
the original series. So I
yeah.
don't know if they like 2D'd over the 3D animation because that's why it's so fluid. The animation
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so
I
fluid.
wouldn't be surprised if they used the 3D
Huh.
models just to get like
Yeah,
the angles and like the
because you'll
movement,
catch
but
it.
like to 2D animate over it, like you said, to rotoscope it like that.
Even last episode with Rogue, when she was kind of having her meltdown after she dropped Trask, right? That was Trask,
Hmm.
Mhm.
Oliver Trask. You can tell like it fluctuates sometimes where it's
Yeah.
almost too fluid, and it's like, wait, this isn't 2D, like this is,
Right.
or even
Mhm.
like in the background when they're dancing in the club, Jubilee and Sunspot.
Hmm.
It's not
Mhm.
2D, it's 3D in the background. So it's really interesting to see the
Huh.
mix. The
Yeah.
palette has been great. I feel like it kind of captures that Toy Biz,
Oh,
Hasbro kind of,
nice.
but giving it a seriousness. And then
Yeah.
was it this episode where Cyclops says, "What did you expect? Leather?" Oh, that was the
Yeah.
trailer for next episode. See what I'm talking about? These damn spoilers.
Oh, yeah. Seriously. Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, so anyway, the color palette's been great because it just returns that like heroic, fun, action-packed colors flying
Mhm.
at
Yeah,
you,
bright
arcade kind of
colors.
vibe.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, I actually think that I think that this color palette and like just the designs, obviously it's Jim. Everyone knows it's Jim Lee's stuff, but I think that that's really stood the test of time. I think there's something really special about it. I think that especially with them like this new Deadpool movie using that palette for Wolverine's
Right.
like outfit, using that actual color palette. They could have used the orange and brown one. They could have used so many different ones, but they used that one. I think that there's something really, really, really iconic about the pairing of those colors. Are these colors like complementary? Or are they just are these like with on the wheel like the wheel of colors? Are these like complementary colors that they're playing with here? I mean, I just think about
They're
this
using lots of primary colors, aren't
primary
they?
There's a lot
Like
of
colors, I assume.
blue. You got a lot of blue in a lot of the shots.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah,
a
even
lot
yeah. A
of
lot of
there's a lot of
reds.
blues.
mood coloring, right?
Huh,
So like even
huh.
Lots of
Genosha's a lot
yellow.
of
Red,
red.
blue, and yellow is like, the primary,
Wow,
and you got
wow.
X-Men colors. But I do want to talk a little bit about the scene where they go visit Bastion's home and they discover, they learn about his childhood and we find
Mm,
out that he's basically like a mutant robot. Like
Yeah, it's
his
confusing, right?
father
hmm.
is, I mean, it's less confusing than the comics, actually.
Word. I
Like,
was gonna
So
say
like
that it's less
how is
confusing in
he
the
a
comics.
mutant and like I'm like
So
I'm
like
more
so like
confused.
his father, so Nimrod at some point
Hmm,
infected a janitor at a school
right.
with some, I don't know, some nano sentinels
Got
that
it.
that when he had a baby, the baby was, I guess, part human, part machine. And then this not only part machine, but this machine had an AI intelligence that's like descended from all forms of
Oh,
sentinels,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Master Mold, Nimrod, all that.
Nimrod, yeah.
And
Hmm.
so, and then on top of that, as a child, he's kind of got like he's kind of like a mutant, I guess, in the sense that he's different from everybody else and he's evolving, as he grows.
I mean, you can
So
talk to
he's
machines,
got pink
right?
Yeah,
skin,
he could talk to
he can
machines.
talk
Yeah.
to machines and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So here he is in school and yeah, it's just kind of crazy. I gotta say that Bodemeo online, he mentioned that Bastian's mother is the same woman who was in One Man's Worth as the
Yeah,
waitress in the bar in the
Whoa,
alternate
whoa,
universe.
that was a
Like
great
that's a
callback.
wild
wow.
yeah, like that's a wild pull. Like I don't think that was intended when the show was made, but like that's a
No,
fun way to kind of tie her into the previous series.
dude,
And you
that's
can kind of
awesome.
see more of her character design where she looks with the glasses and everything.
Wow,
Um yeah, like
that's awesome.
so any more thoughts about Bastion?
I have to say, like, I want to see how this goes. I don't find him to be that compelling. I think that the way he's written in this is compelling. I don't think that he himself as a character is all that fun to me. It's refreshing to see like a character that's usually like kind of on the cut when it comes to the X-Men lore. Like it's not the Juggernaut, it's not, it's like, it's someone that we don't really see that often get a little bit more play. And actually, I'm glad to see that. I'm curious to see where it's going to lead into. I think that it's a chance that it could lead to another villain that does something else. Like we'll see how that goes. I'm hopeful.
Rick?
Yeah, I think I agree completely. Especially they have a big name, Theo James,
Hmm.
voice acting him. I think,
Yeah, yeah.
there's obviously going to be the next two episodes are going to be crucial
Hmm.
for his character
Right.
development. I
Yeah.
again, yeah, I find him a little lackluster compared to their villains, but again, like I'm just so
Mm,
glad they're dipping into new territory. I thought he was a really compelling villain in the video game X-Men Next Dimension.
mm,
Got a call back
yeah.
to that. That was an awesome video
Nice.
game. Oh,
Nice.
but yeah, so I'll be really excited to see what they do. But it is really interesting the direction they're going into, and then also with the techno organic virus, kind of tying it into that. I'm not actually so familiar with Bastion from the comics originally. I think I kind of skipped over that period, so this
Mhm.
is all new territory for me. So again, it's just enjoyable in that sense. But they certainly did not hold back, killing off a lot of humans in this episode.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
yeah, I gotta say, like I was kind of shocked and surprised with how many humans Bastion had already turned into Prime
Yeah,
Sentinels. And
right.
then on top of that, like um I was intrigued to see more of his backstory this episode. They named him as Sebastian, like in the comics, and they finally named him. Like I was last episode, I was like, we see Bastion in several scenes, but they never named him, and he was kind of shadowy. Like in a lot of old cartoons, you have the shadowy bad guy who's like comes out of the shadows eventually. But like I kind of thought it would be a bigger reveal, like my name is Bastion or whatever. Like in the same way that Madeline Pryor had her, I am the Goblin Queen. Now, like
That was great.
but but
Yeah.
it's fine. I mean, this episode we learn more about him, and he is kind of like sinister. Like I hate to use that term because sinister is also
Mhm.
here, but
Yeah.
but like it's like a race to be who can be more evil, Mr. Sinister or Bastion. Like Mr. Sinister is over here referencing like is it Joseph Mengele, like the
Yeah.
Nazi, and it's like I'm he's like not even half as bad as I am, and then you got Bastion over here like committing genocide. And then we got to mention the cameos of Doctor Doom and Baron Zemo. Like, did you guys catch
Boy.
that?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Doom.
So
Of
unexpected. I
course.
didn't
What are we
expect to
doing
see
Yes.
here?
that. And then
That's like,
there was another woman who was they didn't really reveal who
damn.
she
I
was. Do
was
you think
waiting
she
for
was
that to be
somebody important?
someone from maybe like the underground, I don't know, Maricos group
Mm.
or area from Magic
Maybe
Crew.
like I was thinking it might be like the woman who runs AIM in the comics. What's her name?
Mm.
Maria, something. I don't know. It could be
Me neither.
anybody. They might not ever mention it again, or they might reveal it in the future. Who knows?
But was
But
Madripoor
so many
already in
cameos.
something? Wasn't Madripoor in one of the what ifs or the there's something coming out with Madripoor where Wolverine and is going to be involved somehow. I don't know if that's
Mm.
Madripoor, the country,
oh Madripoor.
or
Or or Deadpool, like a version of Deadpool. I'm
I'm
trying to
sorry,
remember.
maybe I'm mixing it up. The country that
All
like
right.
Wolverine like
Madripoor. Yeah, Madripoor. Yeah, you're right. You were right. Yeah, Madripoor.
sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No
they
need
featured that a
to
couple
apologize.
times in the MCU. Like we've been there in this
Mm.
show. Like they've
In
been to
the MCU
Madripoor,
and the show.
That's
Yeah,
right. Okay.
and in Falcon
right.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So
And that was a call. I always
um
thought that was a callback to the X-Men when they did that in the show, in the Falcon show, and Winter Soldier show. But
Right. That was like the
you
little
know,
bit that they could
yeah, a little
the
bit they could do.
breadcrumb.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, okay. But I actually, I don't know. I think there is a lot to be said about, how what directions they're going to take with these characters
like
right
oh,
now. Bastion. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Monica
Mm.
Rappaccini. That was the name of the woman I was
Rappaccini.
thinking.
That
Monica
sounds familiar.
Rappaccini.
Yeah.
Like she was
Huh.
like a
That does sound
ruthless
familiar.
biochemist. Um and she has something to do with
Huh.
like both her and Roberto da Costa have been leaders of AIM. So like maybe there's a connection there. I don't
Oh,
know.
huh.
Um
Wow.
but we
There was
shall
definitely a
see.
choice.
Hmm.
Like to have a third person there.
Yeah.
Like it could
Yeah.
have just had Doom and Baron Zemo.
What did y'all think
Um
of what Doom said, though? Which I thought that was pretty interesting. But what he
Remind
said,
us what he said.
It took a couple watches to really grasp
to
it.
like catch what he said. Yeah, I had
It
to
was
go back
basically like
too.
I don't just because I'm here doesn't mean I approve of what you did. Was it something like
Right.
Right,
that? Like
right. And I think
so
that
like
that's really
yeah, like
fascinating.
yeah, like Doom is
Mm.
always the kind of character where, he's got this
He has
insane
a he has a
ego
but he has a code.
and but he has a code, but also it's
Right.
um like he doesn't see himself as evil.
No.
Like he sees himself
Mm.
as a hero to his people in Latveria and also just a genius who if everyone listened to him the world would be a better place. Like I think that's kind of how he sees it.
Mhm.
So like he's always like he likes to be involved in what the bad guys are up to or at least to be aware of what they're up to, but
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that he didn't give his approval.
Right. I think that's fascinating. I think that, but that's what I mean about him, like having like a code and having a code. I think he has a code of ethics around like how to operate when it comes to the things he does. I remember, like a small tangent from Doom. I remember when the towers went down. They did that whole like comic with all the characters like
Right.
interfacing with the
That's what I was
Ground
going to
Zero.
mention before. Yeah, yeah, they did
Yeah,
actually do a 9/11
9/11
aftermath
ish
comic
aftermath
because of
comic.
New York. Like that's such a
Hmm.
it happened in New York. Marvel
Right.
Comics had to address it.
Right, had to dress
In the
it. And I thought it was compelling that he cried, that Doom cried. I remember like for a while people were complaining like that doesn't make sense that Doom would cry, but I think that it absolutely makes sense that he would cry. And I think that because it makes sense that he would cry, I think for the Marvel to like write it that Doctor Doom of all characters would cry around seeing the aftermath of those things kind of feeds into like him saying what he said in this episode. It kind of they've
well, I
established that he's that type of character. Sorry.
well, I gotta ask. So, can you elaborate on why you think it makes sense that he would cry? Because I gotta say, from my perspective,
Mm.
I don't think it would make too much sense that he would cry about an American tragedy. If he, as a Latvian leader, but
Mm.
but if you have a different opinion, I'd love go for it. Let us know.
Yeah, I actually think that the reason why I think about it, I think that it doesn't, I think that the way that he probably perceives it is that there is no logical explanation for what took place, that it's all based in like a religions and things of that nature. And I think that him being who he is, he probably doesn't put any stock into any sort of religion around like people making decisions based on their religious beliefs and making like such a doing something so horrible in the name of their own religion. I don't think that he would be able to compute someone making that decision and thinking that it's a good idea and it being like so senseless and it being such a strong component of what rules the world and how it's something that he can't touch. He has all this magic. He could do all these amazing things, but when it comes to a person's devotion to such an act that is based in something that's not logical, that he can't put any sort of science or sorcery or understanding to, I think it probably frustrated him so much that he would cry. And I think that like him, I think that something like such as like genocide or something along those lines that Bastion's doing in the show, him saying like I don't agree with this, I think that kind of speaks to him being like, even though I'll do something in the name of my people or whatever, whatever the case may be, it's based on his own purpose. He has a purpose around it. And if he can't understand and wrap his mind or accommodate around what the purpose could be for someone to do something so horrible, such as in this case, Bastion, to be something like basically genocide for a whole race of people, I think that he himself would like. I think that there's something that is ethically he ethically can't get behind. I just think
Mhm.
that he intellectually can't make sense of it, and I think because of that, it frustrates him, and he just has to resign himself from it, and that's how I see Doom. But that's me though. That's how I've always read him. That's why I think he's very compelling as a character.
I mean, that's fair. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, I mean, I do think to go back to the 9/11 comic, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was a humanizing moment for him. I mean, most of us were kind of emotionally impacted by what we saw on that day. But I just have this problem with Doom because like so often we don't even know if it's the real Doom. He's got a Doom bot for everything. Like he's always aha,
Of
it was
course.
really a Doom bot all along. And
Excellent.
and so and like why would he be in New York? Like maybe he was at his embassy or I don't know. Like did he fly to New York after it happened? I mean the comic didn't really get into all that and it didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to, but I mean I don't want to overanalyze it, but I do feel like I own that comic book and I remember when it came
Mm-hmm.
out and it was just like it did strike me kind of like just a little curious to see him. I think the point was just to show that even the so-called bad guys have a heart and can acknowledge a tragedy. Um but um it's just I mean it's hard to really uh analyze it because like we talked about earlier, Juggernaut destroyed one of the towers in the comic book and no one cared as much about that because it was fictional at the time, but then when it happens in real life, like we're all more attuned to the gravity of the situation. So
Mm-hmm.
um I mean, I will always give Marvel props for like making that comic book and just trying to help their readers have some catharsis over what happened.
Yeah.
Um, so hopefully X-Men 97 will continue to give us some catharsis. Like, I mean, we had some moments where the Nightcrawler is our spiritual counselor and everybody's counselor, and just in general, like they're processing things, they're grieving
Storm
in their
going
own
through
way.
her emotional
Hmm.
journey was truly
Hmm.
Yeah. I have written something like that on Threads about how like I think the show is immensely powerful for its ability to actually reconcile healing, emotional like healing with nostalgia at the same time. How those two things can work in tandem. I think it does a really good job with that. I think the addition of just Nightcrawler being like a mainstay in the show really speaks to that. I think he's such a fantastic character. I really, really, really love Nightcrawler. But I think that like his appearance on the show and being the mainstay kind of speaks to those things about healing. I think it does. I think the
Like,
use of that character.
can I just say,
Mhm.
like, I am continually astonished when you go back to the old show and the few episodes that had Nightcrawler in them,
Mhm.
they were very
Really.
like he was very openly
Uh-huh.
religious,
Hmm.
very spiritual,
Right.
like I mean, I don't
Love him,
know
man.
how it hit for people who aren't Christian, but for me, I do identify as Christian, so it's like,
Mhm.
I do kind of feel like, it was amazing what they wrote for him because it wasn't necessarily like um hypocritical Christian. Like he's a Christian who looks like a
He
demon who's been
right,
harassed his whole life. Like he
right.
has faith despite what life has dealt him, and he was encouraging other people to have faith and like just the trauma he's been through. Like he even forgave his mother. Like I, I'm glad I dropped you off a cliff. Like that was crazy. But like he found the resilience within himself to like forgive her and offer her a new chance to be in his life even if she didn't take it up, but like now he's found this family with Rogue and the
Mhm.
X-Men, and like I think it's beautiful. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's great that they have this sibling. They're really pushing the sibling relationship. I think that's something that they kind of tease in Evolution.
Mhm.
But
Oh yeah, as X-Men Evolution fans, we know about
yeah,
Rogue and Kurt, and like they definitely
um,
That's
dove
great.
into that.
and they tried
Wow.
even in the original in that one episode, Bloodlines.
Yeah,
Was it Bloodlines
Hmm.
or
Yes,
I
it
yeah?
think
was
so. Yeah.
Bloodlines.
And it's just another great. The only snipe I had with this episode is I couldn't remember why Rogue was asleep. I guess she was
Okay,
knocked
I
out.
wanted to talk about
Oh,
this, guys. This is on my notes. And I even have a picture about it because
It would have
this is
been
an
great if she was
important point.
awake. They could talk.
Yeah, but like last episode when Rogue went to uh meet up with Gyrick, she touched him and she got his
oh, right, right. That's
memories,
true.
and
Right.
then she passed out, and then the X-Men find her passed out in Mexico,
That's right.
and they don't ever address what happened, why she was passed out on the
Right.
street versus inside the mansion where he was like holed up.
Yeah, that's
And then
true.
it just keeps on moving.
Yeah.
So like I have a theory that uh maybe she has been turned into like a mutant prime sentinel because
Oh
the
God.
way Bastion was describing the process, he's
Mhm.
like when I dip these people in the tank, they come out, they don't even remember that they have been
That's
turned into a
true.
prime sentinel until they activate. So
Whoa.
God, I
like
hope
that,
not.
like
Me
right, we
neither.
all hope not,
Jeez.
but the fact that she was like knocked out this entire episode,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't
like
notice
it's
that.
yeah,
concerning.
me, yeah. I was surprising. Like usually by now, she's able to bounce back. Like she's usually, even
Yeah.
if she's touches someone, it doesn't take her out of commission this long.
Like
Hmm.
I don't even remember how she got knocked out again. Do you?
Well,
Just
She
she
was fighting
just
Trask. He dropped him off
yeah,
the cliff, off the
right.
building.
it was the
Then,
explosion that, from what I remember, because she was really close because he grabbed her when he came back as a Sentinel.
Right.
because she dropped him, and then he came back up after his death, and then grabbed him. And remember, he was like, I think he was stepping on her or something along those lines, but he did disable her. He like took her, and then
Okay.
the whole explosion happened. And then after the explosion happened, everybody had to jump to the ground and they fought him. But that whole part of like everything with him taking Rogue, and like I think he actually really like really hurt her with that
But man,
explosion.
that was
That's what I
such a
think.
creepy scene. That was such a creepy scene
Oh
this
yeah.
episode when the Prime Sentinels came into the room where she was like laid up,
Yeah.
and
Oh
then
yeah.
Bunch
they
of
didn't
them.
attack her. They did not
It
attack
didn't
her.
That was
They were
attack
just
her.
strange.
staring
Yeah,
at her.
that
Um,
was strange.
Now
Huh.
you're actually giving me some idea. Yeah, for sure. I think you
Yeah.
might be of the right mind.
and at first I was thinking maybe Magneto would be the one turned into a Prime Sentinel, but we saw that's not what happened.
Jeez.
Uh, Bastion
Wow,
was
that's
doing
a
some
really
kinky
good
stuff with
point.
Magneto, but with Rogue, she could
Huh.
absolutely be a Prime
Well,
Sentinel.
this show's not like scared about killing people off, so I mean things
Oh
could
No,
Lord,
there's
please
not.
don't
stay.
kill off any more people, show.
Damn.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I
I
actually
can't
think
handle
survived
it.
Genosha. How does she survive Genosha, but then she's knocked out by Trask? I mean, come on.
damn.
Yeah.
I think that there's a
And
chance that these characters. I think that like Gambit can come back. I'm hoping that Gambit comes back. I hope he comes back, and I
you
think if
think
they do
so?
kill someone else off, I think they'll
He
bring him
might,
back.
but definitely not through time travel. They made that pretty clear online.
Yeah, Bodemeo did say online. I think I have
Really?
I might have a
Whoa,
picture of that. Let me see.
Yeah, that's why they
whoa,
made that
Um,
point in this episode that Genosha was unavoidable. Even Cable couldn't stop it.
whoa,
so someone said,
No.
well, Bodemeo said, yeah, no time travel to get us out of this one, folks.
whoa.
Not even Bishop is going to come back and
I
help
was not
out.
even coming
So
back, period. Wow.
that's
Wow.
disappointing.
That is disappointing.
Hmm.
But we'll see.
Whoa.
So but Travell, you said you were
Hmm.
hoping that Gambit comes back. Rick, what's your opinion? Do you hope he comes back or do you hope he stays dead?
I mean, I feel like I don't know if they're going to go in a Krakoa somehow direction with that, plot point where they can resurrect mutants again. Maybe
Like
that's how they
Bodemeo has
do it.
been openly critical of the Krakoan era. He says he didn't really like it. He doesn't want to deal with it on the show. We'll see. I do think he's
Good.
borrowed elements of it, or maybe the Krakoa era borrowed elements of the show. It's hard to tell at this point,
Right.
but
Wow, I didn't even know
um,
that he disliked that era, that
oh,
whole
he's
arc.
been
That's
very
interesting.
critical of it.
Really?
He's also
Wow.
been not involved now for like season 3, so who knows
True, they
how
could
that's
take
Yeah.
it
gonna
in
go.
that direction if they choose to, without him. Um, but what were you saying about Gambit though?
Oh, so yeah, maybe they bring him back that way. I know they could also bring back with Apocalypse. I mean, Apocalypse has been in that openings credits now.
Hmm.
For,
Yeah,
I know they were
but
spotlighting Cable,
my
but
question is, do you want Gambit to come
oh, that's the
back?
question. Yeah, I mean, why not? Yeah, I don't know. Like at the same time, it could be fun to spotlight other characters, let people retire from the team. So maybe if he, came back and then had a happy ending with Rogue off to the side, like, Wicked style, that'd be cool. But yeah, I mean, also while we're at it, let's bring back Madeline Pryor,
I mean, I want justice for Leech. Leech did not
Yeah.
deserve that death.
Well,
Bring
we
him
don't know
back.
that
Bring
he's
back
I
dead.
agree.
Callisto. Bring
I
them all
agree.
back. Like I do want
Leech's
Gambit and
death was
everybody to come
hard.
back.
What
I mean,
about Tommy? Tommy, the Morlock.
Tommy, all of them. All I'm saying is that
Where's Bobby
I have
Drake?
seen debate about this online. Like some people don't want Gambit to come back just because they feel like it would cheapen
Wow.
his death. It was a very
It
powerful
was a great
moment,
moment.
and we had closure with a
Wow.
funeral and
Right.
everything. Like, would they do
Wow.
all that just to undo it later on? I say yes because we've seen it
Yes.
before. Like we've seen
It's
Jean
comics. Yeah,
be
they'll come
buried.
back.
Yeah, it's
Xavier.
comics.
Yeah.
Like they all come back
Yeah,
eventually.
Xavier too. Xavier, right.
Xavier plowed
Xavier
back
came
into his
back.
own mansion today.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Man.
I wouldn't
Wow.
be upset if they do undo it, but I wouldn't be. But also, I feel like this show is attempting a level of maturity where maybe they are trying to say, sometimes death is final,
Right.
even for mutants. We'll see. I don't know.
It'll be interesting.
Are
That
they
is
gonna
really,
make
really
us all
interesting.
just sad? Like
By the
we
Jeez.
way,
can't handle this.
honorable mention, Jubilee got a
Mhm.
new costume this episode.
Jubilee got a
True.
new costume. It looks based off
Yes.
of her costume from the 2010s, I want to say, in
Vampire
the
costume,
comics.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was
Good
cute how
point.
she
Wow.
went to the mall and made Roberto buy her a new outfit.
Yeah. So now we got Storm and we have Jubilee, two new costumes. And they said
Mhm.
there's going to be brand new costumes for everyone by the end of the season. So I'm really
Really?
excited to see which ones they pick.
Whoa. I did not know
Yeah, it
that.
could be
Whoa.
interesting.
Wow.
Um,
That will be interesting. Whoa.
let's talk a little bit
Cool.
about Beast and Trish Tilby. Trish shows up. She has a conversation with him in the lab. They're talking about what Bastion's up to. Um, but then we find out that Trish is also someone who has been turned into a Prime Sentinel. So
That
Beast
was
sure
crazy.
can pick him, huh?
Can't trust anyone. I
No,
never
you can't.
considered period, but
I didn't expect that at
it
all.
was a surprise,
I
right?
didn't
It was a
either. Yeah.
surprise. Yeah, it was a surprise for me. Like, wow. Like I was kind of hoping that that wouldn't be the case. I was kind of hoping when they got back to him and her that she wasn't a sentinel because like I was, oh man, that sucks. But
Yeah, it makes
actually
you
I
wonder if
was,
she's
yeah.
if it makes you wonder if she willingly did that or if she was just a casualty of Bastion, like he did that to her. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, but are they saying now anyone who's a Prime Sentinel was dipped in that kind of Joker vat of acid?
I think that's the implication. Yeah, like, we saw a whole bunch of people being dipped into the tanks.
Jeez, how many people is he like hurting to do that to? He's got Trish coming to the
And
factory.
Damn.
Beast was saying like he has altered Cerebro to detect like um, machine
Yeah,
intelligence
yeah. He did say that.
and so he was about to reveal how many uh Prime Sentinels there were, but we never got the number.
Damn.
Is
But
that
it's
what
definitely a
awakened
lot.
them all? Do we know?
No, I think it was
That was
Bastion.
Bastion. Oh, okay.
Like I think it was because they were mad about Val letting like
Magneto
Sinister
go.
had revealed that Val had let Magneto go, and then they were like, "You've ruined our plans," but it's not completely ruined. So let's just you know make every send the Sentinels to attack the X-Men,
Damn.
Trish did
That
especially
it.
because they
was,
were getting so
yeah.
close to what was going on in Bastion's home. Like Bastion's
Right.
mom was a Prime Sentinel.
Yeah,
Like
that
even
was
his
something
mother.
too.
That was
Yeah, that was pretty
crazy.
creepy.
That was like crazy that like his mom, like he did that to his mom. I'm like, how could you do that to your mom, man? Why would you
Yeah,
do that? I was thinking that like, dude, why would you do that to your mom?
very messed
That
Yeah.
up.
whole town, apparently.
Hmm.
Yeah, dude.
And like
It's
and all the
crazy.
protesters who were outside of the mansion, like well, not all of them, because I did notice that once the Prime Sentinels turned,
I
the
like
few who were
that.
left just ran away. They're like, "What the hell is
Yeah.
going
I
on?"
actually really like that. I like that little detail because I like that like that dispersing of like real people inside of the Sentinels to kind of show the gravity of it that like even these people didn't know that they were, like it was a surprise to
Right.
even the people with them. I think that that was really well done. I like that.
I do want to also mention that there was a scene with Bastion and his mother where she was like consoling him as a child, and she said something along the lines of like, "It's okay, baby. Like to me, you're normal." I don't know if that's exactly what she said, but something like that. And
Yeah.
that reminded me of like the Man of Steel movie where Martha said that to Clark, and it was so funny because Bo DeMeo did joke online that Bastion's mother's name is Martha,
That's right.
but he was just kidding. He didn't really mean that, but
Oh, that's really
wouldn't that be
interesting.
funny?
Wow.
Your mom's name is Martha, so is mine. Like
No,
Oh
Batman
boy.
needs to show up and be like, so is mine.
Oh boy.
solve their problems.
Yeah, I didn't even. Wow, I didn't even notice that. Wow, it's crazy. His mom's name Martha. Like, what the
No, that
hell?
was just a joke. It's not really Martha,
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say
but
like that. It's wild.
that would be. All right. Well, I feel like we've talked about a whole lot that happened this episode. We might have missed a few things. Does anyone have any final thoughts?
I wanted to talk about Wolverine. I just wanted to like
Yes.
talk about Wolverine,
Sorry.
and
Yes.
like
We
before
gotta
we,
talk
I
about
think
Wolverine.
that's important to talk about Wolverine
It
because I
is.
think
Go
that
for it.
there is like chatter on social media about how little he's being featured and how much of a good thing that is. And I have to agree. I think that is a good thing. I think there's been too much of a focus on Wolverine for the last like 20 something years. It's just been so much Wolverine.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit
Agreed.
of a
Yeah.
saturation, oversaturation. And I think he's a magnificent character. And I
Yeah.
think
I
that
love Wolverine.
I love Wolverine. And I think that the oversaturation of the character really pulls away from how like really effective he could be and being used in like really, really small doses. Because like when he does show up, he shows up big. And that's what you really want from Wolverine on a team dynamic. You don't really, I mean, like he's compelling on his own, but I think that like the way that they actually kind of pepper him in is like really, really well done. And I actually think that Cal Dodd that's doing his voice, he sounds freaking magnificent. And when I read Wolverine, I still hear his voice. So it's he's doing a great job, like really, really like bringing him back to life. And I'm actually really, really proud of it. I'm really proud of the way in which like he's being depicted. And I think that
Man.
I think it's great. I like the little short burst of Wolverine of
Yeah,
showing
that
up and doing
scene where he was
things.
up in the sky and
Yeah, I
like just
love that.
slashing sentinels as he was
Flashing them.
falling,
Oh man,
that
that was
was
good.
crazy.
It's
I
so
loved it.
good.
And then we kind of get this like glimpse of like him and Nightcrawler and the Sentinel, like they're teleporting, and like you can kind of see what it looks
Oh
like to be in a
yes, in the
teleport.
tunnel.
Right.
That was so good.
That was the first time we ever
Wow.
saw that, right?
And then like
Yeah, yeah.
Wolverine's line where he was like, I'm gonna give you like 6 reasons
Yeah.
for,
Oh, I love
and
that.
then the Nightcrawler was like, I'll give you 9, like when he
Yeah,
added the
I
three
love
swords,
that.
like
I love
yeah, and they
that.
were just slashing those sentinels left and right,
So good.
like it's kind of the cheat of like, well, they are able to like pull themselves back together even if you do like decapitate them or rip their limbs off, but it was still cool to look at, like it was
Yeah, it was
it's
so
great.
cool.
Jeez. Their tongues were like unspooling.
All
Like
right. Yeah, that's so true. It was. Yeah, I actually really loved it. I thought that was really, really well done. I think again, I think using Wolverine in that capacity, having him like deal with things that he could just like cut up. I think that they kind of using him in like a similar capacity. It's like he's kind of an attack dog, and they're using him in that sense.
Hmm.
They're using him narratively in that way too. And I actually think that that is really effective. I think he like I remember I saw somewhere someone said that they don't even think he's that all of a compelling character, and I disagree. I think he's quite compelling. I
I
just think
agree
that
with
he's
you.
been
Yeah.
overused, like same way like
Yeah.
the Joker has
totally.
been. Yeah, I think
Hmm.
the Joker is just like I think that
Or
I
even
think I might
Batman, you know.
yeah, I think Batman's overused too. I haven't even read a Batman comic in quite some time because I'm just so tired of Batman. I'm so tired of Batman at this
But
point in my life.
but on Wolverine though, I want to say like yeah, this episode was interesting, but I've heard a rumor or at least speculation like in these next 2 episodes, people are wondering if Magneto is going to rip out Wolverine's adamantium. Like, do you think that's going to happen like in the comics?
Mm,
Like, I
I don't
guess
necessarily
now
think
that
so.
Magneto is not brainwashed, probably not. But if he was brainwashed, I could see that happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily think so. I'm curious to see how like how like what's the faction of the team going to be what he's going to be on when it comes to Xavier and Magneto now because we got two leaders now. So because
Yeah, we've got
like
and
yeah.
does Magneto know that Xavier is alive? Apparently, the X-Men knew that Xavier was alive the whole time. Like
Mhm.
they never really talked about it, but like Jubilee did mention like we only wanted to like keep you guys away from Xavier, let him heal. You know, like
All
it's not like
right.
we were hiding this. We just like it just wasn't your business.
Right. It's
um,
fam
but
yeah.
so like but it's just so interesting because we've been wondering this whole time like did Xavier really leave the mansion in the inheritance to Magneto, or is this some other kind of plot going on? Like, because Cyclops seemed kind of surprised. Um, the X-Men seemed kind of surprised. They were like, we don't even know if we want to like follow you, Magneto. And then, so I don't think Magneto knows that Xavier is alive. The way he's been talking about
Yeah, I don't think
about
so
Xavier
either.
this whole time. So that'll
Well,
be a like you
yeah.
said that'll be an interesting confrontation when they finally see each other again. Uh,
Yeah. And
hmm.
will that be a misuse of his of his friendship and his trust? Would he be
He'll be
like,
like,
yeah,
"Damn,
like
Charles, you're not even dead.
yeah,
Like you done
yeah,
faked the death on me."
like I mean,
Well, I
like
mean,
did
he saw
he?
him
Yeah,
sail away in the Shi'ar spaceship at the end of the other series. But
That's true.
but the one other thing that they kind of like reminded, pulled back into this episode was the running theme of Magneto being right. Like, so does
Mm-hmm.
Xavier's dream even have a place in the series
Right.
going forward?
Right.
I mean, I think it's interesting that Bastion has misled the public into thinking that Xavier and the mutants have an entire Shi'ar empire behind them. They don't. We know
They
that the
don't.
Shi'ar don't
Yeah, they do
care
not.
about
Yeah.
anything happening on Earth in the Milky Way ghetto. Like
Milky Way.
they let Xavier have a ship, and they're like, "Go ahead, we hope you crash," and he
Yeah,
did.
and it did.
Yes, exactly.
Thanks
And
to
it did.
Magneto. So I guess that was
Yeah.
Magneto, devouring everyone,
Oh
including
yeah,
the spaceship, right?
that is true.
That makes sense. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like it'll be interesting to see. Like I did like the scene at the end where he's like, "To me, my X-Men." Once
Yeah,
again,
I
a
love
perfect
that.
use of that line. Like they've been making it
Yeah,
interesting every time this series, and
Yeah.
I
you
love it.
see him calling Storm back. He's calling everybody to
Yeah, I
me.
actually really love that. Like that was like that to me kind of kicked up the remember on comics on the side of comics when they would like print
Oh
on the side of a
yeah.
comic like the different faces like around with the X-Men, they'll have one person's
Yeah, the
head
corner
bust and their
boxes.
corner boxes. That's kind of
Mhm.
how what pulled in my mind when he was like, to me and my X-Men, and they all kind of showed up as like corner
That's
boxes. I was like,
right.
oh, that's
Yeah,
fucking dope. Yeah, I
Mhm.
was like, that's so cool.
There was
And there's
also
lots of
that
covers.
that
Yeah.
Cockrum drawing. I don't know if you guys remember that. It's the really old original where it's just the Phoenix head, the
Oh
storm,
yes.
and it's kind of
Yes.
like the circle around.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm
That's
blown
true.
away by, first of all, I cannot believe we got that storm costume. I'm just like,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
what a gift.
Yeah,
Every
it's
time
seriously.
you see
it's
it.
amazing. Yeah.
Seriously. I loved it. Man.
And
What
it
do you,
looks like from the trailer we're gonna get Storm and Forge coming to help
right,
the
coming
X.
back. What do y'all think is going on with Iceman? Where the heck is Bobby Drake?
Where is Iceman? He could be useful. He needs to come back and show up.
He's
There
on
was
another
a
level.
well,
X Factor,
there
right?
was a scene on Genosha where there was a white guy selling ice cream to the mutants, and some people have speculated, is that Bobby Drake? It looked kind of like it could be Bobby
Apparently,
Drake.
there's a mutant I've heard that like secretes
There,
ice cream or something. I don't know what
that's
it
true.
is.
Really?
I think their name is like soft serve or something.
Yeah, it's a little
But I
Oh
don't
problematic.
think
boy.
it was that one, because it
Yeah, a
wasn't
little
excreted. Like it was like he had a whole cart and everything. Like
Right.
I
interesting.
don't know.
Wow. I wonder where the heck he is.
Like if he
Season
was
two,
on Genosha,
baby.
I hope he survived.
Yeah,
Um,
seriously. He
I
would
mean,
be
Emma
able
Frost
to.
too.
Yeah,
She's
Emma
not coming
Frost
back.
too.
Maybe
They
mm,
would
season two,
they
season three.
may need her and her telekinesis and well her telekinesis then her
Oh, her
telepathy
now
then
she's
telepathy.
got her
sure.
diamond formed as well. Like
Yeah,
they've given her her
right.
secondary mutation, so
Do you
she
think
could
that
definitely help them out once she recovers.
do y'all
Um,
think that like there'll be secondary mutations from anybody else on the team or
Maybe Beast.
Beast
mm,
had one around the same time in the comics, but I don't think we'll.
mm,
I mean, they did say we're gonna get different looks for everybody, but like
mm.
I like this version of Beast. This is my
I do
favorite version of
too. This
Beast.
is
This is
my
classic
favorite.
Me
Beast.
too.
We don't really need Cat Beast, but I guess
We
we'll
don't really
see.
want Cat Beast either.
No,
Right.
I mean maybe they'll change our opinion of Cat Beast, but we'll see. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Isn't
I'm
Cat
kind of
Beast
hoping
more
they
of like
don't.
a isn't Cat Beast more of like a little bit more savage? He's like a little bit meaner and he's like doesn't
He
he's a little
can
bit further
be.
away
Yeah.
from humanity. He's a little bit
He
further
like
away from
loses control,
Like
right?
arguably you could say
yeah,
that's when he started becoming more darker in character,
darker.
because like recently Beast has been way off the deep end. Like people can't stand
Yeah,
Beast anymore in the comics,
Um,
yeah.
um but you
I'd
know
love to see Brute from Mutant X. I don't know if you guys remember that series.
no, you were
He
telling me about that. I still haven't
yeah.
Rude.
gone to see that one yet.
He's like an
No.
amphibious version of Beast, like green.
Huh.
Pretty good.
Well, we did see Amphibious on Genosha, and he survived. He was like one of the mutates from the Savage Land, that little frog guy.
Right.
We've
Dang.
seen him, but we haven't
Cool.
seen Toad. Is Toad even in X-Men 90?
You
Was he in
haven't
the
seen
original
him?
series?
I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
he was in
I
Pride of the
think he
X-Men, so he
was.
might not have.
I don't know if he ever made it to the show. That's kind of sad. he's like a OG Brotherhood character
Yeah,
from
him and
X
Yeah, he
Men
Kitty
is.
Four.
Pryde.
Like,
Yeah, Kitty
yeah,
Pryde hasn't made it. I'm surprised Kitty Pryde hasn't shown up yet in X
Yeah,
Men.
I've been
That's
wondering,
gotta
like,
be
are they ever gonna see Kitty
yeah,
Pryde in this
Kitty
show, or
Pryde
is she
in the
just not
show.
gonna make it?
well, we
We'll
saw
see.
Rachel Summers. So, I mean, that was
We
a
saw
big
Yeah, so
Rachel.
maybe.
pull. Though she was also in the original series from, I think, Beyond Good and Evil.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, lots of great cameos, lots of great scenes. Anything else we missed that you guys really want to talk about before we wrap up?
It was jam-packed.
There's
It's
a
a lot to
lot that happened.
process.
I'm sure that as soon as we get off the call, I'll remember something else. I'm like, damn it, I should have brought that up because I know because so many things have happened, and
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see what's going to happen next in the
No,
next
that
couple
happens to me all the
episodes.
time. That's the
Yeah,
nature of podcasting. But hopefully we'll be
seriously.
back next week to talk some more.
Yeah, man.
One thing I did want to bring up that I've been meaning to bring up all along is that on Twitter, the comic book artist Mark Brooks, he has been doing a challenge where like for 25 days now he's been drawing different X-Men characters in a Disney style. And I just want to share an image for the people watching on YouTube. It's really interesting because he has really been growing this whole collage of
Oh,
mutant
cool.
characters.
Wow, I didn't even know he was
Oh,
doing this.
I didn't even know this. He was doing this either.
Yeah, check it
Whoa.
out, guys. Like he's
Oh
really
man.
captured the Disney style for these characters. You got like
This is
Shadowcat
incredible.
looking like a Disney princess. You got Juggernaut
Wow.
looking like a like you got Colossus looking like Gaston or something.
Oh, I love
But
that.
yeah, you've got everybody here. Like he's been adding more and more. He even adds characters who haven't been in the show yet. So you've got Toad,
Wow.
Shadowcat, but
Look
you've
at
got
Domino.
Shatterstar.
Wow, that's
He just
great.
added
Wow.
Archangel today. Um, so yeah,
Wow.
it's like really cool. We'll see how far he
Dang.
goes with this. I don't know if he's just gonna go until the season ends or what, but yeah, it's still
That's really
ongoing.
cool. So
Like
wow,
Storm has kind of
Mark
like a little
Brooks.
Princess Tiana look there, except even
He's so
cooler.
cute. I love
Yeah.
it. He looks so
You even
cool.
got Lockheed. Look at Lockheed.
Oh my God,
Oh,
that's
snap.
cool.
Yeah, look at wow.
He might be the best one.
Yeah,
Beast is
yeah,
looking
Like a little
seriously.
kind of
dragon tails.
yeah, Dragon
Oh,
Tails, Dragon Tails. Look at Beast. He looks kind of cute. Like he's
I
wearing
Yeah.
them
really love
glasses.
this. I love this so much.
Thank you for
Wow, I
sharing
love
this.
this.
This is
Yeah,
great.
seriously, thank
Yeah.
you for sharing this. I did not know about this. This is fantastic. I had to look it
Yeah.
up. That was great.
Like I love that this show is not only full of creativity, but it's bringing out creativity in the fans and even other professional artists. And like, there's so much cool stuff online. So let's keep our eyes open. Like, if you want to
Yeah,
send us some stuff, just send it to us on social media. I think now would be a good time to share our social media handles once again. I am
of
at
course.
DMVCBN on most platforms, but primarily Threads and YouTube, but Twitter as well. Travell, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, I'm Big Boy Nerd on all platforms. Either it be Facebook, Twitter, Threads. Threads is usually I'm most active on Threads these days. So either you can find me on Threads or Instagram under Big Boy Nerd.
I'm finally getting a look at the picture on your wall. Is that Wonder Woman
Oh
and
yeah,
is that Black
Let
Panther?
me- it
Wakanda
is
when they both
actually.
do the pose.
Yeah,
Cool, cool.
Oh,
they
that's
both do the
cool.
pose.
What's
Yeah.
that one on the other side? Is that like the Black Heroes that Luciano
Oh yeah,
Vecchio did?
yeah, yeah. It is
Oh, I love
actually
that
a
picture.
nice eye. Yeah, man. I'm trying
I
to
mean, I know my
move it
stuff, guys.
around. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You were really good at
Love it.
that, man. Nice
Love
eye.
it.
I actually haven't. I got him to sign it. I met him at the
What?
con, and I got
Which
him to sign
con?
it, and he was New York Comic Con a couple of years ago, and he
Cool.
was like really, really, really excellent about it, man. I was like very surprised, but my wife was like, "You have to get that, get it." So I was like, "All right." So I got it, and but the Wonder Woman one I really really love. I think that was like actually really 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 well done.
Who's
So
the artist on
I'm
that one?
the Wonder Woman one. I'm pretty sure that's Luciano too. I'm pretty sure that's the
Cool,
same
cool.
artist. Yeah, yeah, same.
Awesome.
Actually, it is the same artist. Actually, yeah. Now I'm thinking about it, it is. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I love it. Yeah, thanks.
Well, all right, Rick, tell us your socials one more time.
Yeah, sure. You can find me at Rick Influencer on primarily Twitter and Instagram.
Awesome. All right. Well, I mean, usually we do have a little bit more time set aside to talk about comic books, but we've had such a great discussion. I don't know if I really want to dig into it too much tonight, but I will ask you guys if you have anything you want to mention before we say goodnight about the comic books.
Hmm.
Just that
Trying to
I'm
think.
digging into with being inspired with the X-Men series and Grant Morrison's run. I had never actually read the JLA Grant Morrison run, but I've heard some pretty good
Mm.
things about
Oh,
it.
it's good. It's good.
Yeah,
Read it.
so I picked that up and I'm gonna give that a shot. So I'll let you all know.
Nice,
Awesome.
nice, nice. I'm kind of all over the place, but I decided this summer that I'm going to finish the whole Fall about Powers of X, that whole thing because of the show. But I'm reading so many things right now. I'm like kind of all over the place, but the comics I'm reading right now that have really been moving me have been the Avengers Twilight has been magnificent
Yeah,
to me.
love
That's
it.
just like that's just been I think Chip Zdarsky is like one of the best comic book writers out right now. He's one of the best, I think.
Yeah, it's very good.
Um,
I
just
highly
very, very
recommend it.
good. Yeah.
Highly.
And also Ultimate Spider-Man has been just
I've heard
magnificent.
great things about
I'm
that.
so proud of it. I'm just so immensely proud of it. I can't tell you how proud I am of it. I think it's just such a good decision. And I think the same thing goes for like Ultimate Black Panther has been very, very good.
Yeah, yeah.
And for fun, I've been reading Superior Spider-Man. Superior Spider-Man is like I
Which
really, really
era?
enjoy it. I'm
Doc Ock.
actually, yeah, I'm at the Doc Ock era right now.
Like the first Superior Spider-Man run or the second one?
Oh, I think I'm doing the first one with Dan Slott. That's the one I'm reading is the first one,
All
and I'm
right.
doing that one with and it's a ride. It's very
It's
comic
good.
booky,
Yeah,
but it's
I love
good,
it.
man.
I
It's a lot of
yeah,
fun. Yeah, I really, really
cool.
like it. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, I will just say real quick, I have been catching up on Avengers. Jed McKay is doing a run with CF Villa and a few other
Oh,
artists,
tight.
and it's interesting. I mean, like so far it's not my favorite Avengers run, but
Mm,
I'm just catching up to see what's going on and yeah, like the covers so far have been done by Stuart Immonen, who's like one of my favorite artists. Like I actually wish he was doing the interiors because I remember the days when he did do the Avengers interiors and lots of other books, and it makes me long for the good old days. But anyway, um yeah, that's interesting. It's tying into Fall of X now and the most recent issues, so I'm going to catch up with that. And I'm other than that, I'm pretty current with the Fall of X stuff. Like, I'm excited to see how it ends. Like, it's getting a lot of mixed reviews as we reach the finish line,
mm,
but I'm still here for it. And I think overall there's some interesting stuff going on. So,
mm,
um, I do recommend that, if anyone has the curiosity to see it through, like you said,
mm.
just keep going, see how far you get, and hopefully you'll come to the finish line with me, and we'll chat about it
Yeah,
later on.
I would love to do that. And I do have a question for each one of you. Which book right now are you like excited to read when it comes every week? You're like, oh, I can't wait to get to see what's the next step. And for me, I would have to say Wonder Woman right now. Wonder Woman has been nearly,
Interesting.
yeah, I'd say Wonder Woman
Interesting.
is that's one of the best books I'm reading right now. I cannot believe how good that is. I'm so proud of it. I think it's
Like
so incredible.
I haven't dived into the Tom King Wonder Woman run
Oh
yet, but
man, it's
but
so good.
yeah, I've heard some praise for it. I've heard some
Mm,
criticism of it. Like I don't know. I'll have to
mm,
give it a chance and see for myself. But
mm,
um, I will say I was a little
mm.
hesitant on that just because like I kind of feel like it's 2024 and like I would like to see more women on the creative
I
team for
agree.
the Wonder Woman book.
I agree.
But like I there have been women in previous runs that were good. So like where are they
Mhm.
now? Like I don't know.
Right. Like Gail
But
Simone, like she's about to write X-Men, but you could easily give her Wonder Woman, like she would crush
Mhm.
it.
And G. Willow Woodson was on it,
Right.
and just some other team, like lots of great women
Hmm.
creatives are out there, so why are
Right.
they not using them? But
Yeah.
anyway, that's not the question you asked. So I'll let
Mhm.
Rick answer your question, then I'll answer it
But
after
I
him.
agree with you, my good man. I agree with you to add on. I do agree with you because that made me hesitant at first as well. But I do think that Tom King he's actually relatively emotionally smart. So I think that he
Yeah,
actually kind of gets these
like
things
Mr.
right. So I'm
Miracle was dope.
curious.
Like that's
Mis-
like a really
Mr.
good.
Miracle, Mr. Miracle is one of my favorite books in the
Hmm.
last like decade. I actually
Like
it's next to my it's at my it's like it's on the side of my bed. Like I read it before I go to bed at night. It's like
like
one of my favorite books.
Like shout out to Pals Pools. Like if you look at their
Mhm.
podcast, they just did a whole like episode about Mr. Tom King's Mr. Miracle. So if
Oh,
you
cool.
like that, check that out. I'm gonna check that out
Right.
later. But yeah, I mean, sometimes men write great stories too. I mean, Greg Rucka is one of my favorite writers. But I don't want to go on too much. I want to hear what Rick has to say about what book he's
Yeah.
most excited for.
I'm not weekly right now, but I am going to be looking forward to the new Phoenix series coming out. I think that's
I know Jean is your girl.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Your sound is starting to get a little weird again. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, all
Yep.
good.
Yeah, I was just saying, I know Jean is your girl.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Again, it's like a greatest time to be an X-Men fan again. So
Truly.
getting brand new cartoons, toys, it's like I wish I had this stuff when I was like
Yeah.
all I have to
Seriously.
worry about. Now we have to get up and go to
Right.
jobs and stuff, but
Right. Right.
gotta make time for it.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
All
I
right.
couldn't agree more.
I mean, I will say, like the books that I'm reading as soon as they come out or as soon as I can is the X-Men books, like the Fall of X stuff. Like I don't want to be spoiled about
Yeah.
what happens. So like I'm reading it as I'm caught up and we're almost to the finish line, like 1 or 2 more months. So
Wow.
it's very sad. Don't even get me started. But
Yeah. I'm so sad about it. I'm not even there yet.
in
And I'm already
fact,
sad about it.
I had a whole thing in my notes that I was going to get into. Maybe next episode. I'll say it for next episode. So tune in
Cool.
everybody next time. Same X place, same X channel.
Yep. Yep. Mhm.
We got 2 more episodes of X-Men 97 this season, and we have at least 1 or 2 more seasons yet to come. So it's good times to it's important times to be an X-Men. I don't know if it's good times because it's rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Word.
know what I'm saying? But
Get through.
Yeah.
but
We'll get through.
it's
Right.
fun talking about it. So thank you guys for joining me today on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you, listeners. If you made it this far, why not go ahead and give us a like if you haven't already? A like, a follow, a subscribe, all that good stuff. And then also comment. Tell us what you think. If you tell us your thoughts or if you ask us some questions, maybe we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. All right.
Nice.
Good night, everybody. Excelsior.
Excelsior.
Take care.
Hey, DMV comic book nerds. One more important piece of news. This Saturday, May 4th, is Free Comic Book Day, the biggest holiday for comic book fans and retailers. So if you have a local comic book store, I want to recommend you go check it out. They'll have selected free comics for you and maybe even some sales. One of my most anticipated events every year. So I will let you guys know next week what I'm picking up. But yeah, go do it. Go support your local comic book store. And we'll see you guys next podcast. All right. Bye-bye. And our music is done by Trap Remix guys.